Welcome back to the Love Boat Project. This is episode 13. I am your host, Mike Taylor. Along with me is my co-host, Mike Robertson. Ahoy, Mike.
Lucky 13, you would say.
Lucky 13. Very lucky.
Although, nobody got lucky in this episode? Maybe? Question mark?
That's
Probably
you know what?
not.
I didn't even think about it like that.
Yeah.
I don't.
Maybe the fake
No.
stock.
Yeah, he got lucky. Yeah, the stock. Well, the room
they were hot to
being
trot. Yeah, they were hot to
available,
trot. Yeah, so maybe, but
They got
relatively
power.
celibate
Relatively
episode.
celibate Love Boat.
The way it's been lately.
Yeah, the heavy petting edition of the Love Boat this year.
Just a friend edition.
Before we get started, wanted to mention former guest on the Love Boat, Miss Lorraine Hoffman from episode 1 of the Love Boat, the late great Suzanne Summers. I was looking for something to add this week. I'm looking at the newspaper articles. I looked at People magazine, all these things, and it was interesting to see all these. She did this, and this. But the thing that stood out to me the most, when Three's Company began its 5th season in late 1980, she demanded a salary increase. Now, she was at the time she was getting $30,000 an episode. She wanted a raise from $30,000 to $150,000 for each episode, because that's what John Ritter was getting. Just think about that. 30 grand.
I mean, that's ridiculous to be 5 times up, but
to be going into the 5th season, like if that show's a success, you're given $150 per episode. And I don't know what Joyce DeWitt was making, but the thing that stood out, I was like, wow. Well, anyway, let me finish. ABC only offered her a $5,000 per episode raise. They're like, here's 35. The thing that I got out of that was just like, how ballsy. Because I can't imagine during that time, who like that was. Well, I'm sure they don't do it. You're gonna get like blackballed.
It's interesting too, because you saw it with like Friends and other shows that have an ensemble, but maybe it's like 4 or 5 people or so. Seinfeld probably did it, where you can kind of like, bond together and probably get everybody the same. I'm surprised. I mean, John Ritter, that's John Ritter is obviously the key to that show. I don't think that show survives without him.
No,
but is he like Three's Company was not as good.
Like fractionally, is he that much more?
Exactly. And if you think Three's Company was good after she left, it is all about Don Knotts. Those replacement Chrissies were not good. So I guarantee you they're going to be on this show. We're going to pick up the Three's Company. I would say it's going to be a little bit, but we're already at 3. So
yeah, I would think so. Think so. So it was just interesting. That's the thing that stuck. It wasn't the Thigh Master.
Yeah.
Or, she's the sheriff, or, later shows. It was just like, man, what a ballsy ask in 1980.
Yeah. And I will say this, we said it at the time, and now that we've watched, half a season of these shows, that's still as good a performance as anybody's had in that first episode that she was on. It was just a very like grounded, surprising. It could have been a lot against type. She was really good in that. So that gave me probably a better perspective on her as an actress, even. So RIP for real. We always have these fake RIPs. That's an actual RIP.
That's a real RIP. Yeah. So yeah, it is interesting. Yeah, I wonder if they should have done like every season done like the Love Boat Emmys or the Love Boaties, where they give out little miniature Pacific princesses to.
Maybe we'll do that.
Well, spoiler alert there.
Just saying.
Just saying. Right, but we're here to talk about the Love Boat season 1, episode 13. Any thoughts going into this before we start digging in?
So the the way I usually look at these first is I look at the titles just to see if there's anything there, and then I look at the cast just out of curiosity to see how many people I know. And we have some names that you absolutely know,
Absolutely.
and then you have some names that you do not know
And you
at
also have
all.
faces.
And then
You
you
have
have faces that you
that you
know but no
know that
names,
you
which
didn't know
again
the
is why
name.
we need the portholes.
I
But
agree.
this was probably one of the episodes where it was better than the synopsis, I would say. I think the synopsis maybe sold it a little short. This was a decent, solid episode, and I think the synopsis had me go in a kind of different direction. So,
See, I think not only do I think this was a good episode, right? I'm just going to say, like, my formula for a good Love Boat episode, 4 elements. Give me 3 different
well,
types
a
of
scale of
stories.
4.
Yeah, 3 different types of stories, right?
Okay.
I want some hijinks. I want some wah wah, and I want some emotional strings. That's it. If you can do all things within one episode, uh, I'm all in. And
Right.
then it's just how much wah wah, how much hijinks, how much.
Oh man,
So
I
this
feel
is
like
a strong episode.
I need to start judging these things on this rating scale.
I have a whole, there's
Yeah,
formulas. Looks
yeah.
like a beautiful mind in my state of the art studio. Just scrawlings everywhere. Okay, so pardon me. Love Boat season 1, episode 13. Family reunion. Too hot to handle. Cinderella story. I saw one of the writers, and his name was Art Barr, and I was like, "Wait a minute!" But I don't think
It's
it's
not
the
art.
same
Yeah,
Art Barr. I was like, "Wait!" I got
it's
really
Art
excited.
Bear. It's Art Bear.
Art Bear.
And
Damn it.
I wrote down finally, after talking about it for the entire season, Art Bear and Ben Jolson, who wrote Too Hot to Handle. They're our guys.
Yeah,
They are our guys. They wrote the murder mystery, which is from our favorite episode. They also wrote the radio drama murder that we did a couple weeks ago with the embezzler. They
was great.
They did the Julie's understudy, which was a great one with
Yeah,
one of my favorite scenes ever when that old guy comes back for that deck walk.
maybe
They
not the
also
best episode. Yeah, but it was good. It was
right.
good. The storyline. Yeah,
And they also did the Dennis Kingston, Jacqueline Smith bit,
Oh,
which
wow.
has some of our favorite stuff in there.
Oh,
So
that was
this
good, too.
actually might be their like least inspired one, but those guys have been the real MVPs of this season, I think.
I love the writing on that Too hot to handle. Like, it made me
It was
laugh.
good. It was good.
Just like
It was a
was great.
high floor on that one.
Yeah, it was very good.
Yeah.
Original air date is January 7th, 1978. Before we give the synopsis, let's find out what else was on. It's real easy because there's only 2 other channels.
Can I guess?
Yes,
Are we deep into Kojak now?
it looks that way.
Okay. So Kojak has replaced Carol Burnett, we think?
Yes.
Okay.
Saturday. Yes. NBC.
I'm not going to get the movie. I'm just assuming there's a movie on the other
Well,
channel.
here's the thing. It's a movie, but it's a movie from an NBC show. So the
like when the Facts of Life would go to Europe or something?
This maybe if there was an emergency, because this is an emergency movie. Do you remember Emergency?
I remember. You know what's funny? My nephew, who just turned 16, when he was like 4 or 5, was really into Emergency, like the reruns of Emergency, because which was cool, ambulances and all that stuff,
fire
so.
trucks and rescuing people.
Yeah, exactly.
So this was an emergency TV movie called The Steel Inferno.
Oh no!
Crackle.
Not the Towering Inferno, though.
No. Not to be
Which
confused.
probably was literally in theaters when this was happening.
They should have spelled it STEAL. Been like,
yes.
What's really going on? Paramedics Gage and DeSoto find themselves trapped on the 20th floor of a flaming building. That's the entire synopsis.
That is the entire.
That's it. They gave out the whole story. How does that take 2 hours? Like enter fire, enter water, run credits.
To go up, yeah. And there's probably if it's like Towering Inferno, there's like a shady building guy who used like cheap materials, and then there's a love story maybe.
Is 20 floors towering?
Oh yeah, I would think so. I got to think anything above 13.
I mean, in Kansas, you're talking a skyscraper.
Well, in Kansas, yeah, 20 stories is a tall building. Not for us,
Decent.
you know, swinging metropolitan
No,
people.
we don't.
but-
That's a tiny building in my world.
Yeah.
All right, so let me get to the synopsis of the episode of The Love Boat. An aging purser, use that word loosely on this show, serves the daughter he deserted as a child. Uh, really brutal synopsis. A honeymooning couple are plagued by unromantic calamities. Wealthy phonies shower attention on a grocery clerk they believe to be a supermarket tycoon. Wait a minute, that's not true at all.
That's a way different synopsis than I read, but
That's not.
so,
They didn't think he was a supermarket tycoon.
not at all.
They showered attention on him because they thought he was an
A slick ad
advertising
executive.
guy.
Where'd you get this synopsis from?
There's like 4 different synopses normally. And I try to pick the one that's like the least bonkers, or I'll just like rewrite it.
Yeah. Well,
I clearly did not rewrite
thumbs down to that
That's
one.
weird. Boo. Well, we're off to a hot start. All right. Guest stars. Got to go with Bob Crane right off the bat. Let's talk
Yep.
about the elephant in the room. How about the blue highlights? Did you see the blue highlights early on in the episode? They had like a very blue hue to them.
He was great. And I
He's
guess
always
that's
great.
not
It's Bob Crane.
I guess that's not shocking, right?
No.
Like you're bringing in a heavy hitter like that, but like if you told me that if things had played out differently and they needed to replace Steubing and they just were like Bob Crane's going to be the new captain of this boat, different show, but he was fantastic.
He was great.
I will probably make an argument during this episode that that's the best guest performance, and that's not light praise, but he was amazing.
Yeah, that's something to think about. And it's funny because it's going to sound so cheesy, but it just looked like he did it without any effort.
Yeah,
Like it
But
looked
that's
like
kinda
Bob
what-
Crane. But I would
I
imagine
think
that's
that's
what
Bob
Bob
Crane
Crane's
too,
really
right?
like. Yeah, like
there was
Hogan wasn't Hogan. Hogan was Bob Crane. Like
Right,
that's the way it.
yeah,
because
he's
he
got a
made
very
it him.
Clooney. It's like Clooney acting about him, but yeah,
I love Bob
no,
Crane.
he was really good. And I mean, the elephant in the room is for the second episode in a row, we are watching the guest who carries the ball the most in their last televised performance because they died very soon afterwards.
Interesting.
Last week it was the old guy who was from the Will Gear, the old grandfather.
Oh, yeah.
He
I can't
died a
remember his
few
name
months
right now.
later.
Yeah.
Very different circumstances than Bob Crane. But Bob Crane
do you-
died
do you
within
mean?
6 months of this?
I mean, it says that, he was found bludgeoned to death in his apartment, June 1978.
Yeah.
The case still remains unsolved.
That's not how Will Gear died.
No.
I
But
forget
here's
the
weird-
guy's. I forget the old man's character name. It was like
I know what you're talking about, but
Franklin with a Y. Heather. It's like Featherton or something. This was like a week ago. We did this show. I can't
I
remember.
don't even remember anymore. It all gets.
Yep.
Well, Bruce Solomon plays Bill Edwards. The only reason I'm bringing this up is that Bruce Solomon went on to appear in the movie Autofocus, which is based on the death of Bob Crane. So how weird.
No, I think Greg Kinnear played Bob Crane
He
in
did.
that
He
movie.
did. It was a
I
decent
saw
flick,
that. Yeah,
but I just thought it was like, whoa, that's sort of weird.
creepy.
You're guest starring on a show where the guy died that you later played a role in the movie.
But the
about
thing
how
is,
he
with this
died.
show, there's no evidence those two were even in the same zip code on this.
No. I completely agree.
This was very segmented this week.
Oh,
There
it
were
was
3 storylines and they were very segmented.
completely no confusion. John Rubinstein played George Allison. He was active on TV from 1967 to 2022. Just so many. Another one of those guys who's just on
Just
every
looks
show.
familiar.
Just-
Yeah.
Kathy Bates. Interesting about Kathy Bates. Obviously played Sally Allison. 14-time Emmy Award nominee, 4-time Academy Award nominee, Tony Award nominee. Won the Tony, won an Oscar for Misery, and has 2 Emmys. Highly decorated. It was kind of cool to
And
see her younger,
it
like a
was
little
not
different.
much for her to do in this, but the stuff she did really well. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. She executed.
Yeah.
Dory Brenner's Wendy Bradley. The only thing I have is that apparently she was good friends with Betty Davis. That's all I have.
Wow.
And then Robert Hayes had the smallest part. Like every action he did just led to the interaction between
He was
Wendy, and it was
he was
so weird.
facilitating. Yeah. Yeah.
So obviously, Airplane also Take This Job and Shove It, which I'm a big fan of that movie. That's a great movie.
But this is pre that. I think the only thing he might have been in at this point was the short-lived show. I want to say Gloria, but that's probably not it. But there was a show where it was Philadelphia based. And he was the lead in that, but Airplane I don't think was till 80. So
It's not like
but second Airplane person in a few weeks.
Who's the second?
We had Leslie Nielsen a few weeks ago.
Oh, that's true. That's true. That's true. Did he do anything after Airplane, or was that just
Airplane 2?
Electric Boogaloo? Yeah, what did he do?
Yeah, no, I mean he did stuff. He was in I'm sure he did a TV show that failed, and but he didn't really he didn't get a chance to parlay it,
Interesting. All right. We ready to board the ship and get started?
One note about the credits just in general.
Mm-hmm.
9 credited cast members this week in the top.
It's so weird because some weeks they remember they mentioned 4, but then then there's like 3 others they don't even talk about. Like it's so weird.
It kept going because I was like, okay, I know Kathy Bates is in it. I know Bob Crane's in it, and then it kept going and kept going and kept going. So 9 is by far the most we've had. I think maybe we had 7, but the funny thing is, there were 10 people in the storylines, so they just cut Doreen. Doreen didn't make the cut, which is like the girl last week. Like, you tell me you can't add one more name? You're not even doing the portals yet.
It's a tight budget on Word. They pay by the letter back then, apparently.
We'll get a little more Doreen information later.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I can't wait for the portal.
It's
because number one, I want to see what they use as their picture. Is it in character? Is it an actor?
Here's the
character. A lot of things.
So here was maybe the best example of the portal would have helped. Is I have no idea even now what Larry Tate from Bewitched's name is. So it was a pleasant surprise when he rolled in to this episode.
Yeah.
But he would have gotten a portal shot, and then I would have been like, "Oh, it's Larry Tate."
Second Bewitched guy, by the way.
Exactly, in a row.
Well. Yeah,
not in a row, but in the vicinity. We're loading up. I'm going to write this down here pretty soon.
Bewitched. We got a Growing Pains. We got.
Yeah, we're still. I think Happy Days is still up with 4, but we're getting some contenders behind them.
Good Times, we're getting there. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get on the boat. Julie welcomes aboard passenger Wendy Bradley while she's having her Polaroid taken by her husband.
This episode brought to you by Polaroid.
No kidding.
It's just like, good Lord.
No kidding. But then I was like, man, I wonder if people were just so psyched that they, didn't have to wait, didn't have to go to the photo mat to drop off film that's like instant. Oh, I can do this and this and this.
That was cool. I mean, when I remember as a kid being fascinated by that, but
this guy loves it.
This guy is a little too much.
A little too much. How about you take a picture of the sea? You know what I mean? How about you turn that camera around and look out?
Yeah. Look, we have a picture of the cruise director.
Well, everything he did was just a setup for Bob Crane.
Literally.
Introduced Polaroid. Everything was. Everything. Oh, where's the books? Back in the thing. Oh, Bob, come on over, Bob. Everything set him up. It was like his wingman. It was so weird. Across the deck, Julie notices one of the ship's stewards, Teddy, Bob Crane, telling Ginger that it's the end of the line. She's not allowed to secretly bunk in his cabin after the ship sets sail.
How loud were they canoodling? You're on a boat. Now, the boat's not moving yet, but you're outdoors.
People are getting on board. Now's not the
Like
time for this.
but how loud are you that they caught your eye?
She's just if you were trying to sneak somebody on a boat or off a boat, right? And you're a cast member or a cast member, I'm sorry, a crew member. Why would you go there? Especially if they mentioned something about a crew entrance.
Yeah.
What do you
Well, he's drunk.
Yeah, but Bob Crane's too smooth to make that mistake. He's not gonna
No.
like
Or unless that's what I'm saying. He's really drunk. He's making mistakes. He's
make
slipping.
mistakes. Make
He's a
slipping.
reprobate, Mike.
That's a good term. Julie marches over to him, kind of gets on him for reporting late to work and being sloppily attired. Teddy asks the question, "Are you pulling rank on me?" Just as Captain Steubing overhears, and he says, "If Julie isn't willing to pull rank, he certainly is."
Captainly. Very captainly.
It was captainly.
This is a very captainly episode. You're going to have to come to terms with that.
He cares about the weirdest things. Like, he is obsessed with this. Like, don't obsess over like steering or looking at the weather. I've never heard him talk. He's never talked about the weather.
But he had
ever.
he had plenty of time to just set up a elaborate on the fly
sting.
lie.
Yeah. Good Lord, he's got it in for Bob Crane.
He also seems to pop down those steps at the appropriate time, almost like he's just kind of sitting there waiting
Sitting
for
in
somebody.
the shadows, like Plumber Poet. They're both hanging out. Day shadows.
Before we get too far off this first scene,
Yes, sir.
I would just like you to note what Julie's wearing in this scene.
Gotcha. What color is it?
It's a white jacket with a bit of a blue shirt. Classic Julie look.
Classic Julie look.
Yep.
All right. He was doing some sort of advanced public relations work with Ginger.
Yeah, he was.
Who has important contacts. Yeah. The captain tells Julie that if they weren't about to set sail, he'd get a replacement for Teddy, which wouldn't be that hard to do since it's episode 13 and we've never seen him before.
Or heard of the position.
Never.
So why does Julie stick up for him? She just trashed him 3 seconds ago, and then she's sticking up for him.
Then she
but you're
that's
losing
so
all your
Julie.
back. This is why Bob Crane is sneaking ladies of the night in.
Well, that's why I don't think Julie is fit for leadership. I think she's far too emotionally
there's been a
needy.
few examples where she's just like backed down when she's
won't hold her
absolutely
ground.
right.
Remember the woman that
Right,
tried to
was
take
going
her
for a
job,
job.
and then she
Right.
helped her. Oh,
Yeah.
let me get like, are you something wrong with you? Like, are you not?
This isn't going to end well, Julie. If
she-
you're just going to be like rolling over for these people.
It's never going to go good. She's
Yeah.
trying to make out with every dude on the ship and trying to be so nice and all these weird.
Oh,
She's trying
maybe
to
she
make
thinks
up for
she's a hip-
something.
Maybe she thinks she's a hypocrite because she's been smooching on this boat nonstop.
Like maybe she has a tail or something. Like some kind of weird thing is up with her where she feels like she has to be everything, the nicest person, webbed feet. Something weird is going on.
I don't like all this Julie besmirching you've been doing lately.
Purely hypothetical. I mean, no. Julie is part fish.
What a twist.
Julie said, to your point, Julie's insisting Teddy's not the best employee. He's also not the worst guy in the world. But again, you're conflicting two things.
That's a big gap, Julie.
That's a big gap, bro. Like what? He's also not the worst guy in the is that the measuring stick we want to use on the Pacific Princess? I don't think so.
And he's making salary. He's not even hourly. Steubing said he's on a
Ridiculous.
salary.
And then I kind of put a question mark when they mentioned a crew entrance. They bring up these like handy excuses we never see.
So you know what I think it might be? You remember at the end of that one you hated with the Scarecrow? When Steubing leaves to get on that little boat, I'm assuming that's the crew entrance.
You know what? That makes sense.
I mean, they didn't necessarily put a spotlight on it, but I think that's my assumption, which would make more sense you'd want Bob Crane bringing his lady in through this wide open gap that nobody's going to be there. So the
I mean,
Roxy Blue entrance.
Yeah. It's either that or he just pushes her overboard. You know what I mean? That's Bob Crane. It's like,
There's
"Oh,
plenty.
take a look at the.
There's plenty where that came from for Bob Crane.
No kidding. Good for you, sir. My two favorite people from the episode have arrived, newlyweds Sally and George Allison. They're running the ship in the nick of time, still wearing their wedding, because we paint with very thick, very broad strokes here in the Love Boat. He's greeted. They wish him a fantastic honeymoon. Doreen Edwards.
Hold on. Wait.
Go ahead. Am I?
Before we leave the newlyweds.
Okay.
So they mention in passing that the minister was late, and that's why they're like rushing.
Okay.
So what's the actual plan? Now I understand that people were more likely to maybe go on the honeymoon right from the wedding, right? That was the thing, more than maybe today. How late was this minister that he was to the point where you couldn't even get change? They don't even have luggage. Like, I don't know where they came up with all these clothes for the trip afterwards. Like, the planning of that, whoever the wedding planner was for that wedding, poor job. That's ridiculous. Don't schedule yourself that tight. That's not fun. And it's daylight. What time do they get married? Do they even have a reception?
That. I had two possible conclusions here. I thought about that. Plus, I was thinking, right, if this goes in sequential order, we've had the Christmas episode, so we have to think that it's probably January, late December, early January.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking of it in terms of like daylight savings, where it gets darker even earlier. When they got on the ship, the sun was out. It was daytime.
Yeah. So 3
in my mind, it's before 5, like before 4:30.
So you had a noon wedding.
Did you maybe? So you had a noon wedding.
No reception.
Right. It just doesn't.
No, it doesn't jive. And again, I know things happen, but like a minister, punctuality, I got to think is like in the top list of things.
Yeah, I wonder how often that causes.
Well, you had a real minister. Was he late?
No.
Right.
No. He was there. Well, you had a. What did you?
He wasn't a real minister.
Was he late?
He was very early, but he wasn't a real minister.
Perfect. Well, he got half of the equation.
He got the important half, right?
Right. So. But then the other thing I think is, sometimes weddings aren't, you know what I mean, aren't put together so well. Like maybe it was sort of haphazard, meaning.
But then you don't have the top hat and tails. Like, it almost would have been okay if they had come from the Justice of the Peace or something.
What if it was like outdoors? Like a covered, almost like a pavilion kind of thing.
Okay. I think I'm pissed there's no reception. That's worse. That's even worse than a cash bar. Is you don't have a reception. I have to go sit and watch your vows, and then I don't get like a meal or something.
Well, it's funny you say that, because like, what's the point of getting married like that in a ceremony in front of friends and family without a like, why don't you just go to the courthouse if you're going to do this? Like,
you know what I'm starting to think? These guys deserved everything they got on this trip.
My viewpoint's kind of changing, is evolving as we speak. Because these people are just, what? That's what you get. That's what you get. That's what the end of this is.
You know who doesn't get poison ivy and a hernia and
Doreen Edwards?
Yeah, exactly. Because she's just there. She's just there having a good time.
Having a good time, looking at Polaroids. Speaking of Doreen, wow, look at that segue, huh? Smooth. Boards the ship, and she's tallying the item by item expenses. They're talking about the cab and
They're so broke they can't even wait to do that in the room. They have to do it on the deck. That's how broke they are.
Or maybe she's figuring out if they can really afford this vacation before they.
Non-refundable.
Well, they're not big tippers. Then they probably how much.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't. The thing that gets me is like, I feel like if you're making a purchase, if you're going somewhere, you've made the purchase to go somewhere, even at the cheapest ticket, whatever it is. Well, while you're on the trip is not the time to be a cheapskate.
Yeah.
You know what I
Exactly.
mean? Like, it's gotta go along with, money in your pocket, money invested in this trip.
Right.
To
Yeah.
show up like that, like,
Because you're not gonna have a good time.
but they
You're not
just
gonna
want
enjoy
you to
yourself if
know
you're penny pinching.
they
Although,
they want no shadow of a doubt that these people are poor
right, they should have showed up in like just rags,
or
like
dust, just dirty,
like street urchins.
no shoes, dressed like
Yeah,
Bilbo Baggins. Just
yeah.
really get the point over.
Or they should have done the twin bit from a couple episodes ago and just
A
got
rich one
one
and a
ticket.
poor one.
Yeah.
Be great. No, I'm the rich one. He's the poor one. He's in my room and I'm in his
Right.
room.
Can I see more?
That'd be great. Uh, her husband Bill tells her to stop worrying so much about money and just enjoy their vacation. Julie tells Doc and Gopher that the Stockwoods have just canceled their reservation. Let me
Which
ask
shows you
you,
how rich the Stockwoods are. Because
what?
nobody cancels a reservation
Nobody
on this
cancels
boat.
reservation.
A lot of people should have. Nobody does. So
Well, it's almost like, well, how did they cancel? What did they throw a paper airplane your way? What I don't see any activity. Nobody's answering
I
phones.
guess
There's no
they called,
CBs.
but wouldn't they call Julie? Like,
Write her a
yeah.
letter.
Like they should that scene should have ended with or begun with her hanging up a phone.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Way better.
Just very simple. Simple touches. Also, you know what it should have ended or began
Hmm.
with? Julie in the same outfit that she was wearing 5 minutes ago.
Oh no. What color was it?
It is the blue jacket with the red shirt.
Do you think
For
this
the
is on
second
purpose?
straight week, we have a continuity error with Julie.
Well, because they have 3 different directors.
It's not my problem.
I know.
11 episodes, we were totally fine with continuity. And Julie's the only person who's ever getting changed on this boat. So it's
Well,
not
'cause
that hard to keep track of.
Well, because everyone else is in a uniform.
It's outrageous.
Why don't they just keep her in the same thing?
The only
Like-
thing, Mike, that would be more outrageous
Uh-oh.
is if it happened again later in the episode. But that
Well,
would be
that's
ridiculous.
preposterous.
That would
Come
be
on.
that would be ridiculous. I don't even
on.
know why I brought it up. That's
No.
nonsense.
It's never happening. Let me ask you something, Mike. When you hear the words or the phrase promenade suite, what are you picturing? Because I had a mental picture that did
That's
not add
slight-
up to the promenade suite.
I picture a slightly bigger room than all
Mhm.
the rooms we've seen so far.
That was so underwhelming. Like,
The
in my
bed
mind, I'm
was-
like,
Yeah. The bed was not shown. That was
it looked like
essentially
a cardboard box. It wasn't even a
Yeah.
real. It's the same crappy bathroom.
Yeah. It's like
It's not.
I don't know what what
What's
they needed it
promenade
to
about it?
be
How
because
dare
Julie
you.
ends up showing them the window. The window
Oh.
needed to be a bigger deal or something.
Why would you put a curtain on that? Like when people arrive, like, oh, look at your giant 3-foot round window where you can look at water. Woo!
And you know what? Once
Enjoy.
we leave this port, it's just the same water.
Just the same water.
Yeah, it was a little underwhelming. I don't
Yeah,
think
they
the Stockdale
oversold
would have
it.
been happy with it.
No, that's probably why it canceled.
Yeah.
You heard rumors.
Garbage. Also, I know they were trying to get like
Hmm.
I knew they were trying to get to the whole thing,
Yeah.
but Gopher is under Julie's employ. In theory, is in the customer service division of this boat.
Yeah.
So when the people tell you what room they're in, your first reaction should not be how shitty the room is. Like that's just
Oh,
like
the boom boom room. Yeah,
it's
that was like.
ridiculous.
Yeah,
Keep
but
that to
why would you rent
yourself.
out? Why would you have one horrible room on a ship?
Well,
Like,
my
it doesn't
guess
make
is
sense.
because how poor they are. My guess is that's the room they never sell, or they sell it for like $8. It's like
Yeah.
at the vet they used to have
$6.
benches at the top that you could get for hot dog tickets.
How much is a hot dog ticket?
Well, $1. You get free tickets in Phillies free.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Normally they would cost like $1 to sit up there, but you had to sit on like a bench up by the Fanavision. So I think that's what the boom boom room is of this boat.
You know that we never got to see it. I kind of wanted to see what it looked like because it would have been like completely a caricature of whatever the issue was. It would have been like electrical.
Oh, it
wires.
would have been like a
It would've been
machine.
terrible. That
Like one
dog
of
would have been in
those,
there.
yes.
Mhm. A meaner dog.
That Barry Keys.
Barry Key, he's in there. Barry Key's in there. Stupid
Constantly in
scarecrows in there. They're all in there. Oh, here comes Doreen and Bill Edwards. Doreen's a little less thrilled than Bill is to hear about this, boom boom room.
And rightfully so. Like,
Sure.
I don't want to know that it's bad. Let me figure that out for myself. But if you're telling me, if you, the crew, is telling me it's bad, then I'm not staying in that room.
Well, plus I got the impression from this scene that she's not the cheap one. He's the cheap one. Like she's providing the numbers. Oh, the cab was 5. She's a little scared. She's like, I don't want to stay there. And he's like, oh, it doesn't matter. Like that
Well, I
dude's
think
just
that
a
makes
straight
her the cheap
cheapskate.
one then.
Well,
That makes her
I
the
think
cheap.
I think she's stuck with the cheapskate.
Oh, I don't know
Maybe.
if I agree with that.
I
Because
don't know.
wouldn't he be the one? I think the person who calls out the penny pinching is the penny pincher.
Maybe he just wants to say that so he doesn't get mad at her again. It's one of those kind of things, Mike. There's a lot going on
He's
here.
he's an assistant manager at the supermarket, so
How
the
can an
money's going to
assistant
keep rolling
manager
in.
afford that perm? Look at that man's hair. Like who?
It's a
What are
different
you?
time. It
What
was
are
a
you?
different time.
It's a lot of work.
Perms were
It was
aplenty back then.
it was so consistent. It was just
It's that sea air. There were a lot of perms in this
it's a
one.
lot
The
of
groom
perms,
had a
perm
perm as
heavy.
well.
Mm-hmm. The Allisons. Yeah, George Allison had a nice little perm as well. Let's see. Bill assures the crew they're just grateful to have scraped together enough cash to be on this boat. So of
There you
course,
go.
and Doc's like, I've got an idea. I love how he's the one that like threw it out, and then
Oh,
later on he's just
Doc was the Cheshire cat in this
very.
thing.
Oh, he's great. He lives on a mushroom. He's wonderful.
Yeah.
So yeah, Doc suggests that they, upgrade this couple, and they're like, oh, if the captain finds out. Needless to say, they upgrade him to this really
Why would
crappy
the
suite.
captain care?
Why would he even know?
Why would he care? The
Yeah,
Stockdale
because he was going
legitimately
door to
quit.
door. He's going
Yeah.
door to door, inviting people to dinner again. He's a
Right.
lunatic. Can I count on you to dine with me tomorrow night? Like, who? Go drive the ship. What are you doing?
Oh, he's making
That's
dinner
all he
plans.
cares about. He's got
dinner
long sleeves,
plans. He's got
short sleeves.
sleuthing plans.
He's got 16 different variations of the same uniform. Just like, I don't like long sleeve Captain Stubing. I'm just going to say that, and I made a note on this.
Well, it's
Long
January.
sleeve Cap. They're in a tropical cruise.
It's chilly. Chili had a turtleneck on a couple weeks ago.
Oh, you don't know. She's not playing with a full deck.
She's getting changed between rooms.
It's crazy. Yeah,
It's not a continuity error. It's a really
room's
deep
it's
character
her.
choice.
There's
Yes.
16 different versions of her, and they're all at different temperature variations. Allison's arrive in their suite and smooch each other. George picks up his new bride to kind of place her on the bed and throws out his back in the process. He
You gotta live for your
says,
legs, guy.
Hey, put on a weight belt. That's what Hogan did.
Before they go into the bridal suite, the wave shot had the bride and groom in it, which is probably the first time we've ever had a wave shot where people are waving, and it makes sense that there would be people there to wave.
In paper, like the ticker tape and all
Right.
that stuff.
Like there's probably the wedding photographer and maybe the family or something like that. Like that actually makes sense. So that was the first wave shot that was like 100%. I understand why there are people there saying goodbye.
I guarantee he whispered in her ear and he was like, pretend this is all for you. Just saying. Creepy George Allison.
I didn't like George Allison. We'll get to it. I didn't like George Allison.
So is it a legit way have you ever heard of that before? I'm not a doctor, Mike. If you
hurt your
have to
back
sleep
like
on
that?
a wooden board for a few days till like it's normal.
I guess
I've
because they
never
don't
had
want you to move around.
Be comfortable?
Who's got a
Have better
wooden
posture?
board? Do you have a wooden board?
No. You can't just be on the floor? Well, your
Or-
back's never going to get better. We don't have any wood in the ship.
Yeah, hold on. Let me get a wooden. Let me take my
Yeah.
kitchen apart. Hold on.
Too bad you don't need hay bales because we have some of those as well. You can lay on buried keys. I just was like, what a that didn't seem like a very 1977 like medical opinion. That's like
Well,
this
pills.
Civil War medicine. What's going on here?
Yeah, they're gonna. He's on a board so they can carry him off the battlefield.
This is crazy. Doc, Gopher, Julie escort the Edwards to the promenade suite, which as we explained earlier, there was it looked dirty.
No.
It like it had carpet and it just
I
was.
will say, I'll give them this at least. I don't think that's a set we've seen. It wasn't like they tried to run it by us,
Mm-mm.
but it also wasn't of any grandeur of any kind. Like put a gold curtain up there or something.
There was nothing sweet about the promenade suite.
No, no.
It was really not. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just like bad shore motel. That's the vibe I got from
You're
it.
right. It was a shore motel. You're
It's just
100% right.
like crappy
Yeah, it just
bed,
needed like
bad
some lime
carpet.
green furniture.
Just dumb.
Yeah.
Tiny bathroom. Just it checked all the boxes.
Yeah.
The crew's explaining Stockdale's canceled. No one's going to care, with the exception of Captain Steubing, who drops by. Again, why would he be busy when the ship is leaving? We've been over it at least 12 times.
To defend Steubing, these are your VIPs. This is the most important couple on your boat. I think at some level, Steubing has to make sure that boat is full and good reviews and get people coming back. So I bet you that the VIP or the promenade gets a Steubing pop in every time. That's my defense of Steubing on that one.
See, now I've got a theory because based on what you just said. All right. One of two things is happening. He's doing, like you said, trying to boost sales for the, Pacific Princess Inc. Or two, the real captain of the ship is so horribly disfigured that this is like I'm not the captain, but I play the captain. Kind of like Dr. Eyes is not a real doctor. That's just his name. I'm saying it's like Captain Steubing. It's basically the same kind of thing. He's just the face. You never seen him steer anything ever, 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 ever. He can't tell his dad, no, I'm not the captain. I'm just kind of like the PR captain. You come eat with me. I carve a turkey. I dip everything in ketchup. I have feuds with. He doesn't do anything serious.
I'm not saying your theory is flawed, but if you were going to hire a sham captain, you would have hired a better sham captain. Like, he's not super personable. He's an older looking man than he actually is.
Like, you get like Dom.
He has trouble interacting with people he's known for years. You get Bob Crane.
You do get Bob Crane.
There's your sham captain.
Oh, he'd be a great.
We need to solve that murder because they stole 9 seasons of the Love Boat, captained by Teddy Anderson.
It's a shame
from us.
Captain Anderson. Look at that.
Great.
It sounds good too.
We already got the daughter on the boat. She can help out.
Bring her
Robert Hayes, he can fly. Yeah. It's great.
We're good.
Ship photographer too.
So many.
Would have been so much better.
So Robert Hayes, who needs airplane? We got this thing going.
You're the wacky son-in-law on Love Boat season 2.
It'd be perfect. He wakes up and there's like socks where his pillow is, but it's really him. I'm not upside down. Boo! Gotcha. You just got socked. So yeah, he invites him to dine at his table, which of course is his number one. And I was just thinking, like, man, he throws these things out so fast. But again, if it's a PR thing, I can kind of get behind that idea.
So I know you're quick to rush to just destroy Steubing, but the actual hook of this whole thing is that because Steubing now has walked in, Doreen and Bill have to pretend to be the Stockwoods. And we're not given a lot of information on the Stockwoods except that they're in advertising.
They gave them a rich name. You know what I mean?
Right. So, but that's the whole Three's Company of it, is that they have to pretend. But okay, fine. At this point, you're just trying to fool Steubing, who, I don't know, doesn't seem that hard to fool him.
John Ritter fooled him.
A lot of people have fooled him. That kid fooled him. Yeah, it's just, so.
He doesn't get up early. It's not that hard to get one pack. It's just, it's not that challenging.
Doreen, when Steubing asks them to come to dinner, does a straight Jim Halpert into the camera for a second.
It's fantastic.
And at first I was like, oh, that's her. That's a mistake. There's a lot of into the camera on this episode. And then they'll back it up by having like Julie or Gopher like off to the side. But I think they were trying to do a lot of into the camera thing, which I love. I think it's great. But that felt like an absolute mistake. Like, she was just like,
I'm gonna pull that back up. That's interesting.
there are a
fun.
bunch of them. There's a more egregious one from her later. And then Doc is literally just doing like
Well, I saw the doc.
Ferris Bueller. Like, he's just like,
He's delivering lines and then
Yeah.
like waiting for the.
yep. Yeah.
He's
Doc was great in this episode. He was great.
I love how he's evolved, because like at first we were like, wow, this guy shouldn't be practicing medicine, but look what he's done. He's charmed us like he's charmed so many others.
By
we're like,
far
"This
the
guy's
best
great."
comedic chops on this show.
Oh,
By far.
absolutely.
I mean, just absolutely great. Old-timey great.
Just better than Gopher. If you had to put the two, like who's the funnier in this?
Gopher's for the
Gopher's
Gophers.
just,
We talked about this. Gophers for the grandmoms.
he's got to take his shirt off and put eyeballs on his abdomen to get laughs. Nobody
Gopher's a
needs that.
prop comic.
Do you
I
think
did like the
Gopher-
doc. I did like the doc since he wasn't in his office and didn't know he was going to be doing this, didn't have any pills to give out, so he just plies them with booze.
He really does. He really
Like
does.
he went right to the champagne bucket.
Hey, he's not just popping that sucker open.
Yep.
But I guess it's
Some kind
okay
of
it's okay to drink on duty for everyone? Huh. Interesting. Captain walks in, sees everyone drinking with champagne glass in their hand.
Well,
It's
I
during
don't know that
duty
he
hours,
saw
right?
everybody drinking.
I just think the captain was kind of being a diva.
I think
Rightfully
it was
so. I think he was just kind of out for him based on those.
all those facts that happened. Yeah.
Well, he was threatened because Bob Crane would have been a better fake captain. He knows that.
Wait, did Meryl Stubing kill Bob Crane? Oh my god!
I didn't even think about that. The murder's never been solved
Until tonight.
until tonight. Yeah,
Where's Dateline? Get Keith Morrison out here.
I love that guy. So Sam shows Wendy. We're back to Polaroids now. The photos he's been taking. She glances at a shot of him and his father. Man, I wish I had my I was.
Classic
You're-
response to
You're on a
Polaroid.
cruise. What are you guys doing? Now you're going to get all mopey about this thing that happened at least 30 years ago. No offense, man, but are you kidding? This is when
Yeah,
you
like,
decide to be
it's
extra
not a-
sad about this?
It's not a Father's Day cruise.
No.
Like, it's just such-
You didn't just get your memory back. Like what?
And you know what? Their Polaroid's not in a photo album, which means that thing just happened. You saw his dad 4 hours ago. Like,
Yeah,
why are you like that now?
We just saw him. Wait, why are you?
Yeah.
So that,
The only thing Robert Hayes loves more than his Polaroid camera is gender roles, because he's like, "Oh, continue to unpack our suitcase there, honey, and then we'll go out."
oh, I'm sorry you feel bad. Unpack.
Yeah, those socks aren't gonna unfold themselves.
Well, I thought at the pool when he was like, "Hey, where are those books?" I thought that was going to be a setup for her to go back to the room
And Teddy was
and
like
then have that conversation.
drinking the shampoo. Oh,
Poor Teddy.
so cabin
yeah.
steward is a new position.
I'm right there with you, Mike.
First of all, best dressed uniform
Oh,
on the
looked like
ship.
James
That is
Bond.
a great look.
Looked great.
White jacket, long tie,
Mm-hmm.
fantastic.
Looked great.
Unnecessarily classy, but great look.
It's Bob Crane, ladies and gentlemen.
So he comes in and he offers to unpack their suitcase.
Yeah, that was
Like, how much work is a cabin steward doing? Because I assume we know there's a
Well,
maid staff.
Here's the interesting part, though. They didn't offer to do that for the Stockwoods or the people that
Yeah,
took the place of the Stockwoods or the super
anybody.
VIP.
Or anybody.
I've never seen it. Like it wasn't. They didn't have to do that to get, because they set it up with the picture. You know what? It was so.
The closest thing we had to it was when Gopher brought the old guy in last week to the
Yeah.
room.
Yeah.
And he even
But-
said this isn't my job, so maybe they were, planting the
Like, what are you
seeds.
doing?
But
What are you doing? But then I was thinking too, like I wouldn't want someone unpacking for me
that was my
at
question.
all. I
It's
don't want
like,
that.
I understand there's like, it's not like you're moving into a house, right? There's only a few
No.
drawers and things like that.
If you're on
But
10 days, it's quite a bit of stuff, I would imagine.
and I don't know where all my stuff is
Yeah, I don't want that.
now.
It's a little too intimate. Like, I don't know you. I
Yeah.
don't want your hands all over my
No,
stuff.
that was weird.
It was a
That was
stretch.
weird.
Like, don't you
Yeah.
think you're overqualified to be doing that?
It's not just that. Like, do we really need this position? There are so many times we have asked for additional staff on this boat.
And
This
this is
should
what
not
we
be
got?
the yeah.
I think it
This
would have
guy's
been more.
unpacking one suitcase in a tiny room.
But why not have Bob Crane as Teddy the guest on the boat instead of somebody working there? I don't like they didn't have to have him working there to have this sort of thing happen. I
Because
just
I do
wonder
think they're
why.
trying to build out the world a little bit with that. And I'm sure we're going to get this
Mm.
exact plot with a non-boat employee in about a year and a half.
Oh, yeah, you
You
can there's only so many.
Yeah, the chances of that not happening are impossible.
Slim and none. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here comes Teddy. Arrives to deliver champagne and this caviar that he pulls out of his pocket.
He's
Here's the
straight
thing.
stolen.
You don't I've had like a caviar a couple times. This guy, but it's not. You don't serve it. You don't go. Psst, here's some hot caviar I stole from the
Well,
captain.
no, we don't know
There's
how
no
long he's had it.
spoon. There's no like little piece of bread to put it on. Just like thanks for the jar of caviar. Like, what am I supposed to do with this?
Maybe you can put it with the sausages from.
What are you doing?
Just-
Yeah, like
What
am I doing with
there
this?
there aren't like little mini fridges, right? In any of these rooms? Or are there?
I don't know.
I mean, he has not been on the boat this long. So
I've never seen
either
one.
but I'm saying he has not been on the boat this long. So he just stole this from Stubing. So my guess is
God, I hope so.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're gonna be on the salmonella boat.
He went, he got changed. He ran into Stubing's office, stole
Some fish eggs,
ran back.
grabbed a champagne, just looking shady. Not a spot in that jacket, though. I'll give him that.
Good looking man.
Offers to unpack their bags. We talked about that. And it's so weird. It's so weird. I was thinking when I'm watching it, I'm just like, but they had to get to it. So,
well, thank God that Robert Hayes left all his pictures akimbo. Like, if you're gonna take that many pictures, like,
how about you bring him with you because he's such a picture nut, or how about you put him face down?
It's 1977. Everyone had 3,000 photo albums or a shoebox. like, come on.
He just has in his house. He just has stacks of Polaroid photos.
Just like a crazy old person.
Well, the other thing, he looks at the photo, one of the photos, as we're going into our first commercial here, or going into break. He says, he murmurs, "Oh God, no!" First thing here, we know what he saw. It's recognition. Like, was the definition on a Polaroid good enough to be like, oh, I remember this person from 30 years? No.
So she's 26. It's 26 years, they say. So, yeah, that's tough, right? Like, it's a little. You got to be thinking about it. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that was a bit of a stretch.
Especially him. That guy was putting up numbers.
Yeah,
like how
he's got vodka pockets. Like, there's no way he knows.
He's not remembering. He doesn't remember what day it is.
Yeah. No.
So
it would be funny if it was the other person in the photo. He just got them mixed up because there were two people in that photo. He just with the wrong person.
That would be hilarious.
Well, I have a hot take later on that whole scenario.
Really?
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We come back from break. Teddy orders a drink from Isaac. Isaac immediately says, "You're not supposed to drink while on duty." We go back to everyone sipping champagne. It's so kind of weird. I'm like, what is... So Teddy's telling him like, "Oh, that's my daughter." He's like, "Congrats," and all this. I just met her. And I'm thinking, man, there's a lot of information for a person as smooth as Bob Crane is as Teddy is.
Yeah.
I just don't think he'd be sharing all that information within earshot of that person. Like he's got that he's got the Kensington whisper, like, "Oh, just met her, blah 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 blah." Good
It's
Lord,
like
man. Sit down.
Walter. It's like Walter Perry, where he's just like,
Just keep
this
it
guy
down.
embezzled my money. It's like,
Yelling. Like
I
they're gonna go
think
hoarse.
I think the the part that makes sense is that he's like just shook. If in fact he recognizes that wife as the baby mama, he's just shook to the core. He acts the way some people on this boat should act when they see a ghost, but it is a lot to get to very quickly,
I
including
agree.
Isaac getting over the fact that he shouldn't be serving.
He does it anyway. He's
Because
like,
he's like, no, you can't have that drink. Hang on. And then for the first time, we see Isaac make a complete drink to completion, right?
he didn't put ice in the glass. He pulled that glass up. It already had an ice cube in it. I'm like, and he put
It's
a
one of those permanent ice cubes.
always there. That's how we put our
Yeah.
glasses in the cooling mechanism.
That was a heavy
It was
pour.
a heavy pour.
Salud.
Glug glug glug. But then again, okay, you get the drink. Like Teddy knows he's on thin ice. He's just going to drink it right there
I think he was going to bang it.
because that captain's always being a busybody, walking around all the time. We're being a good
I
Lord.
wonder how much Teddy did of the unpacking after he saw that picture, or if he ran right to the bar. Because he had only put some jackets away, really. So
You're like, wow, Teddy's terrible at this job.
we're not
Awful.
unpacked at all. So.
It's the worst. So Captain basically said this is his final warning. And then Teddy just kills that drink.
Yep.
What do you think that was? Just like a
bourbon
or something like that.
Yeah, like a brown.
Something woodsy.
Yeah.
Later, Captain Steubing tells everyone who's seated at his table that the Stockwoods will be joining him for dinner. One of the guests, Cynthia Loudon, complains to her advertising executive husband, Everett, about how Stockwood is a vulture who booked this cruise to steal his biggest client.
We're in the middle of Act 2, and we're just dropping in 3 new people.
Yeah, I thought so too. Like, where were these? When did they get on the boat?
And are the Loudons? This is where I got confused. Are the Loudons bringing Larry Tate as like a client
like a sweetheart,
thing?
sort of,
right? Trying to make amends for their horrendous advertising campaign that we'll get to later.
Or maybe it's like that guy that wanted to kill that guy. They're just stalking him. Or that guy is just stalking him, like you said, because he just.
Well, that was what I thought originally, was maybe that it was a coincidence, but they don't play that up. And we've had too many of those. I knew this guy was going to be on the cruise lately, so I think
it's a little.
I landed on the fact that Larry Tate was being basically treated to this cruise, but he does not act like someone who has been treated to a cruise.
No,
he's crapping on this guy the whole time.
Did he have a wife? Greg Beatty?
Not on that. Not this week. Not this week.
No, not this week. He didn't. No. Okay. Doreen and Bill Edwards arrive, introduce themselves as the Stockwoods. When talk shifts to advertising, Bill says that since he and his wife are on vacation, he's not going to indulge in any work talk. Smart. I love hijinks. It's smart.
That was he underplayed it. But Steubing was eating this up with a spoon, because at one point he's like,
vultures. Remember that?
This really is a jungle. He was just like, it's like with popcorn and stuff.
Well, I thought it was weird. One thing I noticed about the table, I noticed it in the Christmas episode too, that the captain wasn't sitting at the head of the table. He was sitting in like the middle of the table.
And that rule has not been applied lately either. So that was nonsense.
The rule of the captain, wouldn't you think he'd be at the head of the table instead of the middle of the table?
I mean, there was a whole bit, unless that might be a different table.
Oh, because of Stubby. Remember the whole who's going to sit? That's why I'm like, wait, it's not even. It doesn't even look like it's the same table anymore.
Because I'm trying to think
certain shots.
So Stubby, losing track of episodes. Stubby was the same week as Radar with the dog. So I don't think
Mhm.
we've seen Steubing sit at the top of the table since then.
Mm-mm.
So yeah, maybe it's in deference to his father,
He just leaves it empty.
in remembrance.
R.I.P. Stubby.
R.I.P. Stubby.
R.I.P. Stubby.
Maybe the crew, maybe the downstairs crew in Retribution just like destroyed the top of the
Screw that
table.
guy. Anytime there's a chair there, it mysteriously burns to the ground. That's funny. Next day, Teddy delivers an iced tea. Delicious looking iced tea, by the way. I got thirsty watching it. It looked delish. Just as Captain Steubing is wandering over again, he's such a busybody, dude. He's got nothing to do.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, this
don't
cruise
want
must
to.
be taken care of. The computer and the
It's
deputy
just,
captain are doing the work this week.
and again, I know it's a recurring theme, but it's the middle of the day. Like, why wouldn't you just be walking around
When does he sleep?
he doesn't sleep. He just eats dinner a
The
lot.
vampire.
Remember that one episode? They were up at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and he
Yeah.
was short
This is why
jacket
he was
on.
able. This is why he was able to get the jump on Bob Crane. He doesn't sleep.
He doesn't sleep. It's the 70s. You know what's going on. Just who needs
Did you see
guidance?
the when they open up this scene? They're playing with a beach ball in the pool.
Worst
Like to
pool
your
ever.
point about wind and boat moving and stuff like
It's-
that, a beach ball seems like it would be a disaster in that area.
Nothing says we're not on a ship and there's not sea air, when a beach ball like just drops straight down. Like,
Right.
you just
No
killed it.
movement at all.
Nothing. People are throwing paper airplanes. Like, no, you can't have this.
Just balancing like
People
like
balancing chairs on noses. This is awful. Hey, come on.
dead wind chimes. Like it's not moving at all.
We just need hey, can we get a fan on set?
Well, and they do it for
That's it.
like the romantic scenes, but they never do it for just like a casual scene.
Yeah, it's always at night.
Right.
And the moon on the thing. It's the same wind. It's not like during the day the world's not windy.
Day wind. Yes.
Where's day wind? It's not windy during the day here. It's a set of ridiculous. So, she tells the captain she loves being at sea. And then here we go again. Talks about her father's love of the sea. He died when she was a baby. We just cut to the chase here. Cape Hatteras. She said he died in a crash in Cape Hatteras. Cape Hatteras is right around where we go on family vacation every year. So Cape Hatteras, actually, fun fact, home to 600 to 1,000 sunken ships. It's known as the graveyard of the Atlantic. FYI, and that's apparently where this ridiculous story has
So
him
good
being
job.
shipwrecked.
So good job by Wendy's mom. Like she picked the right place to say that you're.
She Googled. Like, hey Google, where's there a lot of shipwrecks?
Well, maybe she had a copy of Berman's Encyclopedia of American Shipwrecks,
or she just had C of the World Book. Either way, it's quite a story. Good Lord, tell me what?
Why would you? Why?
So
like I get it, and I guess it worked for a while. Like Teddy is
worked for 30 some years on this lady.
Yeah, Teddy is a seaman, and so that was probably what she was going with. And I'm fine with you making him a hero and everything, but like you gave her too many facts, so she was able to piece this together eventually.
Yeah, what year? Like, I can chase down the ship. She should have said like he was single-handedly responsible for the sinking of a ship based on his error as a captain. Didn't say, I don't even want
to. He drove the initial Exxon Valdez. You guys don't know what that is yet.
But. Yeah, you don't know yet. He dirtied seals by hand. He just did all of the worst things. Yeah. Captain Steubing chews on that and asked her if she'd be interested in looking into that history by browsing through his book of shipwrecks.
What a bummer book, though.
But then he's like, "Yeah, come to my cabin around 10." I'm like,
Yeah, that's a
what are you booty calling this lady who wants to find? Well,
I
does
mean,
he not know she's married? Well, he's
do you
met
think it's a
everyone on the
move?
boat. You figure he would.
Do you think it's a move? It's almost too subtle for Steubing.
She didn't show up with her husband,
That's true.
so I
That's
don't know
very
what she thought was about to go down.
and
She didn't
honestly,
tell him.
if you were ever gonna use the husband and his,
Come stomping in,
shutterbuggery, it would be there because you find some info, you snap a quick pic, and you have it. It's
or
not like
the
you can
picture
scan
like,
it.
"Oh, what's the cap what's she doing with the captain in his,"
Oh,
you know what I
and
mean,
she
that kinda
catches 'em.
accidental picture. But yeah, she didn't
Either
show up
way,
with her husband.
that's a
But
good point.
okay, so you're a married man, I'm a married man as well. Let's say you're on a cruise and your wife goes, "Hey, it's about 9:50. I have to go down to the captain's quarters at 10 o'clock to look at his big book of shipwrecks. I'll be back in a few hours. I'm going alone.
Don't wait up.
Don't
Well,
wait
to
up."
be honest, I'd be fine with it no matter what because that sounds boring as hell. I'm
It
not
does sound
going to
boring.
that. So,
It does sound boring.
so
But just again, there's no boundaries, man. It's like he
he's
loses the
just
respect because he
it
just has no boundaries.
that would be amazing if Berman's Encyclopedia for American Shipwrecks was code for sex in the 70s.
Yeah. There's a hole in the book. He just opens the book and
Oh
she's
my
like, "Oh
god. How
no.
dare you
Cape
besmirch
Hatteras, my
Berman.
God."
All the work Berman did to get all those shipwrecks. Although it sounds like you could just go to Cape Hatteras and find
Well, the
most
cap
of them. So,
right after this conversation, he had 6 hours. He ran to his room and started like whittling away, putting a hole in the big the
so,
encyclopedia of
yeah,
shipwrecks.
I think he went and had to write a fake book of shipwrecks. Like 'cause that's not a real book.
What's this? This is a map. I didn't just draw
Yeah,
this.
this is whatever I gave the kid the other day.
This uh poor what was his name?
Eddie,
Eddie. How many? All right.
6.
All right. All right. George Allison tells Isaac that Doc is a miracle worker for healing
There
his
we go.
back. He spots his wife fast asleep on the deck. Tells Isaac that she was up all night nursing him back to health. How is she nursing him back to health? He himself said he had to lay on a piece of wood. What
Maybe she
part of
got the wood for him. I
that's
don't know if you're like
that's nice of
if you
her.
can't move, maybe if you had a scratch on your nose or something. I don't know.
I'd be like, "Hey, since you can't move, why don't you pipe down over there? I'm trying to, I'm trying to get some sleep." Like
I mean, no
sounds like a
offense.
wood
I know
board.
it's your honeymoon, but if you're incapacitated for a couple days, I'm going to the bar. I'm going to do something.
I'm gonna go to the
Like,
captain's quarters and look at the big book of shipwrecks. That's what I'm gonna do. And then he asks Isaac, which why would you ask a bartender? Hey, do me a favor.
because this is the last thing Isaac has in this episode. They had nothing for Isaac this week.
They're nothing at all.
That was
Nothing at
literally
all.
throwing Isaac a bone.
Well, he didn't do this, right? Well, I guess he did. It's not like he said, "Hey, make sure my wife doesn't get terrible sunburn." You'd think like it would just sort of who lets
Listen,
their
this
wife
guy's all
sleep for
doped up. This guy's all doped up on the aspirin that Doc gave him. So
oh, God knows. It's day 8. It's day 8 of the cruise. Like, what? Where am I?
that wasn't even Kathy Bates. That was just some other woman.
Just she's on a different ship. Everything's all jacked up. It's wonderful. Oh, that's funny. He asks Isaac, please direct her back to the cabin when she wakes up so they can start their honeymooning, which we all know what that means. That means whoopee. Cynthia Everett Loudon are talking basically about Stockwood plotting to steal away Greg Beatty.
This is when they do the both of them kind of look into the camera. They're swimming, and Bill is kind of back here, floating. So you could just, and then Doreen does like literally like they posed like they had won a contest to be on a show because it's almost like she's like. It was just it's
weird.
so blatant. So I looked her up and I was like, she's not a very good actress.
Was she just posing? What was her? Did she do anything?
It was, I mean, for the quote unquote storyline, she was probably just enjoying herself, but it really looked like these are two people having fun on a cruise. It was just weird. There was just a lot of direct to camera stuff. Whether it was an accident or not, I'm not sure.
They
I looked
look,
her up because I was like, you, lady, are a very attractive lady and a terrible actress.
yeah.
Who do you know?
It just looks like they should be in a catalog and not acting on it. They should be in like the J.C. Penney catalog in 1978, wearing things. But it just was
Would you
weird.
like
Hmm.
would you like to know who her husband at the time was, or
Oh,
who she is the niece of?
hold on. Actor? Was it an actor? She's the
Yes.
daughter or married to?
Married to an actor,
Okay.
niece of a name, and I'm not going to give you her last name because it might give it away.
Go ahead.
She is the niece of Lucky Luciano.
Ooh.
So maybe she's a great actress, or we need to delete this episode. I'm not sure how much pull he still has.
Wow. And who's she?
And at the time, she was married to Don Adams.
Really?
Yes. For about 13 or 14 years. My guess is Don Adams is not as old as we think he is, but he's still Don Adams. So good for you, Don Adams.
Well, it's funny you say that. We're going to be seeing a lot more of Don Adams in the next episode.
Really?
Yes, Don Adams is on deck.
Oh my God, that's great.
Yeah, interesting.
Especially because I can do a Don Adams impression the whole time.
Would
you believe?
Oh, you better turn your mic into your shoe.
Oh my
the
God.
Whole time.
Penny. So it's gonna be.
You should do the whole intro. Just do the whole intro to the Get Smart.
But yeah, she was fine. I mean, but it made sense that she had famous relatives.
Yeah,
so.
I get that. Well, it's kind of like last week. Remember the guy was the or whenever that was, the ambassador to Mexico.
Yeah.
Maybe that was episode 11. Same kind of thing.
Yeah.
He's like the SAG president and all this stuff.
Right. Yep.
The James Bond guy. Double O nothing. Greg Beatty wanders over to express how refreshing he finds it that Stockwoods don't want to discuss business. Okay. Julie and Doc run into Dorian and Bill and ask them if they're enjoying the cruise. Bill says he's loving to pretend to be a rich guy thing so much that he invited Captain Stubing to the promenade suite to join him and his wife for a drink.
Nice.
Julie's, blah, blah, needless risk. Tells Doc that she thinks he's getting way over his head, and Doc's just like, oh, I don't know. He pretends he wasn't the one who started this whole thing.
Yep.
Doc is great. Just incredible timing.
What is the actual reason why they're so worried that they're going to get caught? Now, is it now because they've lied to Stubing? Is it just they got that fast, that quick, or whatever? But
here's the thing: like, the only thing they were on the hook for was that dinner with the captain, that first dinner. That's it.
Right.
They could have gone to that dinner. He could have said what he said. I don't want to talk about work. And that could have been it. They could have stayed at the tiny little pool, done whatever they wanted to do, skeet shooting, all that good stuff. And that would have been it. They don't need to dine with the captain again.
So it's just bad luck that the Loudons and the Soap King ended up on the boat.
Right. Yeah. Just terrible luck. So, but even then, he could have it's not like he was his client. Like the relationship that Greg Beatty had with his people, the guy that had his account. Like the thing is, that's their relationship. If you're not happy with that, like what? It was weird. It was like if you don't want to work with them, then don't work with them.
Yeah, that whole thing was weird because again, it's not like Larry Tate is being nice to them because he got a free cruise out of this. It's just very. And then we eventually find out. We find out here why.
Worst.
Yeah, why Greg Beatty was so mad, because apparently the Loudon agency thought that the name for a cleaning product, Space Age Miracle Vanish, was a name that would be a winning buy for people.
It just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
Like, Larry Tate is right. And I'm glad that he's on this cruise taking advantage of their desperate behavior. That's a terrible slogan. Absolutely terrible.
I 100% agree with you. And the thing that gets me is why would Greg Beatty why would they go with it? If it's clearly terrible. Like
Yeah,
you can
that's
hire
true.
someone to create something for you, but you're not on the hook to use it if you think it sucks.
Yeah, that's
And
true. Yeah,
this is that case where it's like, "Oh, it's called this." Well, it doesn't have to be, bro.
yeah.
Tell me you don't like the name. It was just
Yeah,
weird.
that is a
Like,
good point. Like, obviously, you probably have final sign off,
it's
and this guy
right.
doesn't seem like the kind of guy who's going to be a passive like wallflower either. So,
What did they call him? Mr. Cleaning. What was it? What was his
spot gone.
oh, no, Greg Beatty. Like, what was he known as? This big wig and
He's a
what
big soap man.
right.
He's big in the soap biz.
Well, he needs to, be a little more business savvy. If you don't like what do you say
Yeah,
something? Don't say it now. It's just so dumb. So dumb. Uh explains that it's an awesome cleanser. The reason they're doing this is because Greg Beatty accidentally spills his drink on Everett Loudon's seersuckers.
just clobbers him. I'm
Just
still not
so
sure
much.
why. I don't
Is
really know what happened.
well, I took another I'm like, "Were they wearing the same thing? Is it one of those?" No, they weren't wearing the same thing. It
But
was
like,
weird.
does somebody get out of the pool, or they just literally
He's
like?
trying to get rid of them.
But he like just basically throws a drink at him.
Yeah, he's
Like,
just
it
like,
wasn't-
"Here, dump." There was no subtlety to that spill. It
I
was
don't
just
like
weird. It was
I
the
don't like
whole
this guy's
drink.
product, but I love his attitude. He's great.
I've spilled like a part of a drink, like a swoosh of a drink, but I've never just been like, "Dump here, the entire drink is all over you."
Oops.
Oops, I don't
You'll
I've
never
never done
you'll
that.
never get that out, Loudon.
I'll put that on the bucket list. Dump an
Mhm.
entire drink accidentally as a spill
On seersucker.
on seersuckers. We gotta find the Loudons, all right?
No, that guy's not
Um,
allowed. That guy's not working in the business anymore.
so Doreen asks, "You ever heard of this product called Space Age Miracle Vanish?" Explains it's an awesome cleaner that can get rid of any stain. Greg gives her a look and says he has heard of it. And says it's his new product. Bill says it's very wordy. Why don't you rename it something simple like cleaning stuff? Just insert two spots gone. Like he gave him like the most caveman
Yeah,
spots gone.
yeah.
You're like, oh, bother.
The greatest thing
Uh,
of all time. Yeah.
yeah. Like how many names did they throw out that
Just the
Greg
one.
was a witness
Space
to? Like,
Age. They were
that's it?
trying,
That's all you
they were
got?
trying they were trying to hit the Star Wars market. The
It's like
popularity of Star Wars.
it's like the worst episode of Mad Men ever. Like just the bottom barrel. Worst reviewed on Yelp marketing agencies. So Greg's just, "Whoa, love spot's gone." Blah, blah, blah. He says, "Can I use it without any kind of legal reprisal?" And Julie's impressed that Bill is able to convincingly, convince or come off as he is Mr. Stockwood. And here we go. Doc says he never doubted the brilliant caper idea for a minute. I love the bookend of Doc going
He
into a
also just
break.
Doc just
Great.
showed up with drinks. He gave Julie a drink, went off with another one. Just Doc's just having a good time this week.
He's
And it's
always at
funny,
a party.
but we know he's working a lot because the newlyweds are seeing him all the time.
That's true.
And
That's true.
Teddy's got to get that psoriasis checked out at some point.
Oh,
So
Teddy's got a list of shots he needs to catch up on after
yeah.
his Mexico escapades. Sally saying to George about how much she loves him, and you knew something was up. Like, oh, what's
Yeah.
gonna happen now? Camera sort of pans out, and we see that she has a bad sunburn because Isaac didn't even wake her up. Womp womp. See, it's got a little womp womp right there.
Wasn't the job to wake her up though.
He's a bartender.
Isaac did what he was asked.
He half makes drinks. Yeah, she got back
Yeah.
to the room.
And
He
he's
burnt
not
to a crisp, but
and he's not on the show the rest of the time.
that's
So
it. That's it. He didn't wake her up. He was like, "You don't have anything for me?"
my ship's
Isaac doesn't have
done.
anything for you.
Hey.
Everyone sleeps. Everyone's got sunburn. He's just like, whatever. I'm out. Give me
Well,
a line.
you know why they probably got sunburns? Because they didn't remember to pack their lotion because they literally ran from their nuptials to the boat.
Well, yeah. Where's the bathing suit coming from? Like, did you guys have
Yeah.
layers on underneath your wedding attire? Teddy drunkenly staggers into the lobby. Here we go again. Runs into Captain Steubing, who says this is the last straw, orders him into his office. I always find it funny, especially in old shows, when someone's drunk and they want them to sober up, they're just pouring black coffee. Is there anything to that? Or are you just
So
more awake and drunk? Like, I don't, is that better?
I kind of had the same thought. And like for me, if I'm really hungover, I actually have trouble drinking coffee. Like
Like
even
on
to
an
get
acid, like a stomach sort of way?
it just doesn't taste as good and whatever. It's just so the black coffee thing, I don't know. I guess I get it, but I feel like it's one step up from getting dunked in a tub. Like it's like that
I,
level of sobriety.
one or the other. Because it was like,
Yeah.
there's nothing physically that it's not going to do anything, but
No.
maybe
I guess like
hydrate you
it's
a little
so
bit with the
strong that
water.
it would like snap you back. But I it's definitely one of those TV like tropes that you don't actually ever see in real life.
Well, if they
So
had that product that made made you not drunk, it would be called Space Age Miracle Vanish Drunk No More. New from Greg Beatty.
hold on, let me drink a bunch of these.
Yeah, you'll see if it works.
Let me get some black
Start some
coffee in here.
coffee.
See what
Yeah.
happens.
I just see I messed. I did it in the reverse order. I had coffee first. Ah, now I'm never
We'll
gonna
try
get drunk, Mike. Darn it.
Had a good, but you can get all caffeined up on,
Yeah.
on the black coffee.
Captain orders Teddy up to his office, pours some coffee, and just asking him, like, what is the deal? I've been catching you drinking on the job like 2 consecutive
Teddy
days.
plays a good Teddy plays a good drunk though, or Bob Crane plays a good drunk.
He can
Like
handle his stuff.
it's a little cartoonish, but it's grounded in reality. He's doing a lot of this kind of stuff, but it's not like too bad. Where
Well, it's
he's not Froster Brooks. Like he's not just
no lampshade on his head.
right. He's not Shecky Green.
And it's not like his job is to operate a forklift. His job is to unpack luggage and get people drinks. You can do that with a buzz on, I would imagine.
That's a good point.
Like, what is he
Like,
doing? There's nothing difficult.
there's really no impact.
He's done
Oh,
nothing. The
no.
only thing I've seen him do is unpack one thing, be a nosy Nelly and look at somebody else's pictures, take a drink, give an iced tea, get hammered. Now he's in the captain's office. That about wraps up my work week. It's like, wow, Teddy, living the dream.
He's so efficient.
Just nautical piece of garbage. Just funny Teddy.
And you were a captain.
Poor guy.
The Caroline T.
Jeez. So Teddy explains what happened. Said he ran away to sea. And he was shocked to discover that Wendy Bradley, currently a passenger, is his daughter on the ship. He's talking about what a disgrace he is. And just as Wendy knocks on the door, it must be 10 p.m. Must be 10 p.m. Wendy's showing up unescorted. It's somebody's essentially, we talked about it. It's still weird. Show up at somebody's room at 10 o'clock at night. I know you're on like, cruise time, no time. I don't know. It's still weird to me.
The husband not showing up, you are right. Because really, like, is he asleep? Is Robert Hayes asleep, or did he?
He's taking
How
pictures.
is your marriage, Wendy? Did you tell him that you were going to the captain's office to read the Berman's Encyclopedia of American Shipwrecks, or did you wait till he was asleep? And then
If
go?
nothing else, I would think like if it was me, I'd go, I'll probably go with you.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's not a good idea. But if she was adamant, I'd be like, I'll just go with you. Safety.
You know, this week it's more about the trust boat, and I don't know, Wendy.
We'll never know what was going to happen because he wasn't alone with her.
That's true.
So who knows?
So after much deliberation and a big to do last week, Steubing's office is neither blue or Singapore saffron sunrise. It's just wood paneling like everything else in the 70s. So that's it. So we had a whole episode to get that damn office painted, and now it just looks like my mom's kitchen, basically.
They didn't even keep the hallways with the Saffron Sunset or Singapore Saffron Sunset. Like it
The
was all
whole
abandoned.
episode, and they went right to paneling.
Sets up to bring those guys back.
That's where the
We want
guy
a new
should have gotten that wood.
Oh, I love those guys.
That's where
God,
the
I
guy
love
got
those guys.
that wood
Oh,
paneling though. He just got it off the
oh, he
set.
ripped it off the wall. If you
Yeah.
stack enough paneling, it's sort of like a piece of wood.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because you could make like an axe out of paneling and a blade. Nice sturdy piece of. Oh boy, that's funny.
I think of this now because my wife is binging Gilmore Girls, which is famous for how much coffee they drink and coffee acting. They do a lot of like empty cups, and
You can
they're really
always tell,
full.
man.
Yeah,
Always tell. Well,
Bob
they just put
Crane.
water in the cup. I don't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Bob Crane does an excellent job with his coffee acting. It's also a shout out to coffee mugs in the 70s because those babies are heavy. He puts that on the table and it bangs. So even if there's nothing in there, makes you
don't
feel
know.
like he definitely is having black coffee because he had 8 things of bourbon at work. So
Well, let me ask you. You're saying a big mug. Were mugs? Because I have I have a pretty decent mug myself, where it's got, does
I
say
think
pumpkin spice
those
junkie, but
I'm thinking of those mugs like my grandparents had, and they were like this
big,
kind of a
thick ceramic,
like a brown coloring with a lighter brown. They were very heavy.
shiny. Yeah.
And I think that's what Bob Crane's working with there. It's like a much heavier mug. I have big mugs, but they're not necessarily heavy. Like so.
Yeah, I think you're right with mine. This one's not thick, but I do know what you mean. They were like, I
Yeah.
remember having like hot chocolate in them growing up,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You probably
'cause they
can't
don't
even
really
get them anymore.
I remember they're fat, like the rims on them were fat too. Yeah, that's true. It's funny. I haven't thought about that in a long time. Um, okay, so Captain answers the door. Remember, Wendy's at the door. Teddy's trying to sober up. Um, Wendy says that the captain tells Wendy that her dad's, remember, this is a fake name, rang a bell. I still don't get what was the point of all this. Why didn't you just say I've never heard of him and just be done with it?
I guess he was trying
What's
to
he
like
doing?
goad him into it or guilt him into it. So he starts telling all these good stories, but then Steubing,
He's just lying too.
well, he didn't really think about it that hard because he got to about 3 adjectives and then he just started stammering. So it wasn't a well thought out
Yeah,
plan.
he was a nice looking man, a good sense of humor. And this is the last thing, was he was generally a man that any girl would be proud to have as a father. Those are the only 3 things he said. Nice looking, good sense of humor, and he was generally a man that any girl would be proud to have as a father. Wow, those are awesome compliments.
It's like a Tinder profile.
That's just sweet. Agonized looking Teddy just is like, I can't go on with this.
Shut up, Steubing.
Like, shut up. Just screwed up. That'd be funny if he was like, he's your father, and then points to Steubing. Yeah.
Maury Povich shows up. It's all
It'd be great. You are. He says, I can't go on with this. He says her dad is a total deadbeat, and then confesses that he is that deadbeat. Wendy's very confused. Then admonishes him or gets on him for making zero effort to see her or know her. Says, I wish you'd stayed dead.
Boom.
I mean,
Now,
okay.
I understand that emotions run high, and I also understand that DNA testing was not as plentiful as it is in the modern era.
Well, there was no Maury show in 77.
But this is just all taken as fact based on, to your point, a Polaroid of someone that you ostensibly left 30 years ago that was in the room, and a sketchy memory of an alcoholic. That's it. It's not like, oh, and here's the locket that I got, or like there's nothing. It's
Here's
just a
piece
couple
of his
drunk
ship.
memories.
Yeah, but what if that's what really happened? What if the story her mom told her is the truth?
Oh, this guy's dead. He's a
Like,
ghost.
he's dead. Yeah, he's dead. No. I mean, the Bob Crane, like, this isn't her.
Well,
Go ahead. Go ahead. You're holding something back here. What's going on?
I think
Yeah.
it's possible that Teddy is hitting on Wendy, and this is a move
This is a move?
because
Oh,
look
he's
at the
fitting in.
end how he kisses his daughter. So
Yeah. Well, that's why Bob Crane got bludgeoned to death. It was crap like that. You can't.
I'm just saying, we jumped a lot of hoops. Everybody took it for word. By the end of the episode, they're all making plans, and then he lays 2 on the lips smooches,
Little. It's
and they're all calling
was
him dad.
much.
I'm just saying,
they
there's
didn't
a
take
world.
long.
There's a world where not all, because think about it, Teddy got this quote unquote daughter. He got out of trouble with Steubing. His job is now secure. He's still got Ginger waiting for him at the end.
So it's okay for him to drink on deck and be drunk. Matt, right? Is that the captain? He's like, it's okay, Teddy.
Well, look,
No harm, no foul.
it all
It
worked
all works
out.
out. Look at that.
Right.
It all works out in the end.
What I'm saying is,
Interesting.
who better to come up with a scheme to get you out of a jam than Bob Crane?
It's very Hogan's Heroes.
yeah.
I have to say, I love Hogan's Heroes. It is one of my favorite growing up shows. I love that show. He will always be Colonel Hogan to me.
I am
Like, when I see him.
legitimately bummed out that he dies after this because,
I am
like,
too.
if we went into this, Bob Crane doesn't die, right? And there's like a possibility of 3 or 4 more Teddy
with
Anderson
Teddy?
appearances. Fantastic.
I
He was
would be so
fantastic.
happy.
Yeah.
He has so much charisma and so much
It's
presence.
crazy how much charisma he has. Like when people talk about going through the screen and all
Just
that
saying
crap,
that.
that is yes.
Was he in movies? Was he just a TV guy? What was Hogan's Heroes? Obviously, was probably
Hogan's Heroes probably
the
not as old as you
highlight.
think it is, though, right? I mean,
I don't know.
like, it's not like
I
they were
don't know.
shooting that in the 30s, like, so.
No, but I would think that. But I also think back then that TV stars were very different
Were
than movie
TV
stars.
were TV
Right.
stars. Yes.
So I wonder if that was just the ceiling.
But like
you
if there
know,
had been in a different timeline,
Mhm.
and again, we could look it up, but like I don't know when Hogan's Heroes ended, but like
Yeah, I don't know.
there's a different timeline where, fresh off his successful guest appearance on Love Boat, Bob Crane has a new pilot this summer. He's a
Sure,
dad
sure.
with 3, it's like,
Be interesting to see where it went
yeah,
or see what.
but he was, because I haven't seen
Charisma,
Hogan's
dude.
Heroes in years, and I think I know what it is, and it's a lot of this, but it's also
Yeah.
kind of cartoony. This was good. This was a good performance.
100% agree. 100% agree.
Yep.
Sally tells Julie that George spent the day, we're back to the newlyweds, in Mazatlan to shop for souvenirs, and a few seconds later he returns carrying flowers. Here we go. Tells his wife that he picked them in a pretty field, and then he realizes that the red patch on his arm must have had poison ivy around. Let me just say this: quickest poison ivy diagnosis I've ever
Yeah.
seen. Was it?
Maybe she's
she
a
wasn't even like, was it
dermatologist.
3? Yeah. Do they have 3 leaves?
Leaves 3, let it be.
Yeah, like, are you like? It could be anything.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. That guy's legs are going to be really exposed because his shorts were shorter than Julie's when they walked by each other.
Oof, yeah, those were crazy. Also, for being at work, Julie's like, I mean, like, the shorts are. I'm guessing that's.
Oh, I wasn't criticizing
1977.
Julie's shorts. I'm criticizing George Allison's shorts.
No, I'm saying just generally speaking,
Like John Stockton?
everybody's shorts were just way too short.
Who wears short shorts? The Princess, Cruise Line crew.
John Stockton's dressing all these people. That's the problem here. Pull them up, people. Pull those shorts up. Here you go, Carl. Whew. Womp womp. I love that part with the the poison ivy. It's a little, but I love that writing style. Greg Beatty tells the Loudons that he's so impressed with Spots Gone, which Spots Gone is the equivalent of reuse the bat at this point. It's
here's the thing though. relatively, it's 100% better
It
than
is relatively
Space
100%
Age
better.
Magic Vanish or whatever the hell it was.
But Spot's gone. Ugh. So he's renaming it. He's decided to ask the fake Martin Stockwood to handle this campaign. He turns to him and says he'd like to get into specifics. Bill decides that it's all right. It's up. He says, I'm just a regular guy who works in a supermarket. And he agreed to pretend to be a rich guy so his wife could enjoy the promenade suite, which, as we
I
mentioned
mean,
several times,
who
nothing
who
sweet.
can blame them? Yeah.
Oh, she
That
wanted
whole,
bad carpet and a cardboard box bed.
that whole scene was stupid because
That's stupid, dude.
forget the fake stuff and everything. That's whatever. But like, so Loudon keeps pumping. What's his real name?
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
The husband, Martin. It's not Martin Stockdale, but Bill Edwards.
Bill.
He keeps pumping Bill Edwards for answers, and then at one point is like, "You're taking my account. I have the right to know how you're going to do things." And then it's like a bunch of like things, like actual things, like are you going to test in Houston and things like that. It's like, no, you don't. Like, no, you. Guess what, Loudon? You're terrible at
overcomplicating
your
it.
job. You're
Yeah.
terrible. If Larry Tate wants to ask, that's fine, but this other guy has no right to ask. And I feel
Well, he-
like Bill could have faked it for at least one more day if he wanted
Well,
to.
Especially with the amount of effort and time it took for him to come up with Spots gone.
Yeah.
Why don't you try to just dazzle him a little bit, man? You don't need to
Yeah.
just stop talking. That's all you
Yeah.
got to do.
Yeah,
Stop
the
talking.
silent type.
An alarmed Julian Gopher who'd been eavesdropping quickly usher him away. Gopher tells Doc they're in a jam, and he's probably not going to be able to prevent Captain from running into Bill and Doreen and figuring out that they're not the Stockwoods. How? What's the captain got to do with any of this? Like the captain's privy to all these conversations?
I mean, I guess the only thought would have been, and they should have just said it would have made it easier, was that the Loudons and Larry Tate are so offended that they were lied to that they complained to the captain.
Oh.
But that,
Yeah.
but
You should
that's
know who's on your ship and all this other nonsense.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Bunch
But
of
like I said,
sword losers.
I don't think Bill Edwards did anything wrong. This is 100% on the soap guy and the sales guy. Like if they just would have respected his, one sentence about don't talk on vacation about work, none of this would have happened. So
Why wouldn't Greg Bailey? He just got a free product name from a guy who like he thinks puts out all this like great slogans or marketing devices or advertising.
Got a free cruise.
Got a free cruise. Got this free. What is he bitching about?
Yeah.
What's it? What? Like, shut up. And then this other guy, why is he upset? We'll come up with better stuff.
Well, yeah, he's upset because he's losing his big client.
Yeah. But how about you leave the quote unquote Stockwoods alone? They're on a cruise. Like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Like, it shouldn't even come down to this blah, blah, blah. I want you to blah, blah, blah. I'd be like, hey, what did I say?
Yeah, I don't quite understand what they were even trying to do. I know this was just, we have to get from this to this. And
they didn't know what to do. Like, you just
but the
were like,
Loudon, the aggressiveness of the Loudon
super
guy was weird.
Like, how about you put that effort into coming up with better like advertising?
Seriously.
Or better product names.
Or that guy should have like thrown himself off the boat, and then Bill would have been like, whoa, don't throw yourself off the boat.
Like, what's his name when he threw his
long
hat?
enough.
They'd think it was a prank. Uncle Milty.
Nobody had a hat.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
F. Lee Bailey got a shout out here.
Well, what was that about?
I guess that was at the who did F. Lee Bailey get off?
OJ.
Somebody pretty famous.
Oh, prior to that?
Oh,
70s?
no, not OJ. Not 1978. No.
I'm just thinking famously he was on that legal team.
Yeah,
F.
but
Lee Bailey. Who do you think?
His actual thing, he got God. I'll know it when we find it. But it was the case that made him.
70s.
It might have even been 60s. But F. Lee Bailey was like obviously the go-to attorney at that point.
Here we go. Bailey successfully defended U.S. Army Captain Ernest Medina 1971 court martial for responsibility in the My Lai massacre in Vietnam.
That's probably not the one I'm thinking of.
That's probably not that. What was F. Lee Bailey known for? Patty Hearst.
Maybe.
Was it the Patty Hearst one?
Maybe. I mean, that would have been
Oh.
of the time at least. So
Boston Strangler.
there you go. These are some big names.
Yeah. Wow. Interesting. There's a picture of him.
They don't call you the Boston Strangler because you're innocent.
No kidding. It's funny. Just every picture of him in the 70s is him with a cigarette in his mouth, like in court. Good for you, sir.
The F was for filtered.
That's funny. So yeah, again, Gopher's telling Doc. Doc is saying, whether he's trying to figure out if he should come clean to the captain. Here we go, Doc. Doc has gone back to going, I don't know. And he said, basically, I don't know, but good luck, essentially. Teflon Doc.
Sucks to be you.
Doc. Yeah, nothing sticks to Doc. He knows what's going on.
Nope.
Sally goes on a day trip to Ensenada. I thought this was funny. This got me.
This was funny.
While George was recuperating from poison ivy, Sally comes back to the ship, goes to her captain. This threw me. Opens the door, and it's
it was funny because it was subtle, because the person she talks to in the hallway, nobody we've seen, different accent,
very
whatever.
subtle.
And then she opens the door and it's a different couple. This is where the F. Lee Bailey thing comes out, but it turns out she's on the Sun Princess.
That's right.
No,
that's right.
We haven't been on cruises. I assume they're not like the L where you can accidentally get on north instead of south or something like that. But like, how lined up are these boats that she just wandered onto the wrong one?
How do you not see the big writing? It says Pacific Princess all
over.
You're
right.
On like the life preservers everywhere. It's branded all over. What do you think
she's stepping out already?
She was doing something else in Ensenada.
You think she was looking at the Berman's Encyclopedia of American Shipwrecks?
She was probably like, I can't wait for you anymore, George. You had a bad back. You let me get sunburn. Now you got poison ivy.
Yeah.
We're newlyweds, dog.
I'm
going to Ensenada.
Yeah.
Also, the captain of the Sun Princess, Captain Norton. Womp womp.
Why does that guy know who the captain is?
He probably knocks on all the doors and invites them to dinner. That's why. It's probably that same bullshit.
Like, if I remember the name of the pilot 3 seconds after they say it, that's a lot. And this guy's like, no, my pilot's Captain Norton.
Everyone's English on that ship. She should have known when everybody's English.
Right?
Or that's the English version of the Love Boat. That's their boat.
Love. It's the Love Boat.
She was on that. She was on the version of that it's all very meta. Doc and Gopher hanging out in Gopher's cabin. Phone rings about Sally Allison boarding the wrong ship. He felt bad because he has to tell George. He calls George and tells him his wife's boarding mishap, but tells him that she's fine and that she's good. Yeah, I'll meet you in Los Angeles.
So
she's on she never left that Sun Princess. That's what's going on. Like, wait a minute, why don't you just what?
So is it stowaway rules? Like, I mean,
yeah, where's she gonna stay? I mean, we're assuming everything sells out.
They made a point to say the thing had already started cruising. I assume the boat is not going to Los Angeles directly.
No, if she's got to fly back, God knows where it's going.
And she's got to pay for that flight. It's not the boat's fault.
And she didn't even bring a purse with her.
So, like, that's a costly mistake. That would be a nightmare.
That'd be dumb.
One time,
imagine how mad he'd be. Oh.
One time, I was out in South Philly, and we got into our drinks or whatever, and we were going back to the subway, and it was late, and so there was nobody at the counter or at the window, and I didn't have any tokens. I only had like cash, so I was going to pay at the window, and the gates were locked and everything. So I was like, well, screw this. And I jumped over the turnstile. And I thought that was just the coolest thing in the world because the subway pulled right up and I got right on it. And I was like, so long, suckers. And then realized I was going the wrong direction. So
Aha, joke's on you, SEPTA.
Yep. But I did not have to ride the subway the entire way
You didn't
back
you didn't
and then
have to
fly to my house. So
you didn't end up in somewhere in Central America and have to
yeah, I
fly
wasn't
back
in
to Philadelphia.
Mazatlan, land of the deer. So
That's
we
funny,
also
man.
got this was probably our most extended look at Gopher's cabin, and he's got some posters on the wall.
Is that
Um,
Groucho on his wall?
it was. I tried to slow it down to see they're definitely like old timey movie things. So
Yeah.
basically, Gopher's cabin is like your last college dorm or your first apartment. That's kind of how it's decorated.
Or if you're 40 something still living at home with your mom in a basement. It's that kind of vibe.
But the other thing is when at one point when they're doing the oh no, behind Doc's shoulder is a portal. So we went 11 episodes with 0 windows on this boat.
That's right.
And now last week we had one. This week we've got 2. So we're lousy with windows now. So
Yeah, but what level room? Not every room is gonna have a porthole. I wouldn't think a crew room would have a porthole if that's like a thing
see,
to
I would
have.
think every room has that level of porthole. Because it
Oh, just
really
like the
is
circle.
like how many you don't go to a hotel where it has no window.
Yeah, but do all ships have windows like that on the side?
I
Like
would think that's just an
I
easy. I would feel claustrophobic. You're already on a boat.
yeah, I mean they do seem very closed off these rooms. I mean, the little, 3-foot round windows,
Well,
not like,
we never see the fourth wall. I assume they're all on the fourth wall.
mm, oh, it's all glass basically behind you.
Yeah, it's like it's the gallery.
The
It's the
glass
gallery
boat.
elevator.
That's funny. That's funny. Um, and again, George is sobbing uncontrollably about the fact that she's going to be flying back to LA. Hey, we're back in the promenade suite, the less than promenade suite. Oof. Bill and Doreen are apologizing to Julie, Doc, and Gopher not being able to pull it off. And they come to an agreement. They're all to blame for trying to pass off as this rich couple. Um, Greg and the Loudons stop by, which, what, again? Hey, hey, boundaries. What are you doing? I don't want to talk about work. You're showing up at the room now? Get
Well,
out
they
of
need.
here.
How else? Look, this
So
makes sense. We
weird.
see so many times on this boat where
Mhm.
people just try to run into people. This actually makes sense. I need to talk to this person. I
I'm
know where
going
this person
there.
is staying. I'm going here.
You know what? You're
This
right.
is the
I do
smartest
change it.
thing. What's this guy's name? Everett. This is the smartest thing Everett Loudon ever did.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It makes
Yeah.
sense. Okay. They tell Bill they like the quote cut of his jib. They offer him a job in Everett's advertising agency to work on Greg Beatty's account exclusively. Bill basically says, "I work in a supermarket and I've never studied advertising." Doreen basically says something about how he can do anything he puts his mind to. You know, like pursuing a degree in advertising in your head. Bill thinks that over because, you only need a few seconds to think about that and decide, sure, okay. Shakes everyone's hand, and Doc takes full credit for this wonderful outcome.
With a 100% look into the camera.
He's
They
just,
tried to cheat it that he was looking at Julie and Gopher, but it was 100. You didn't
it
think I
was
could pull it off, did you? It was amazing.
I
Just
love Doc. He's
perfect.
just he's so well utilized in this episode. I don't need to see him, deliver a child, which we've seen. I don't want to see him, give somebody a ridiculously large sling or provide somebody with a wheelchair. Just be this guy. Just be this guy. You rule.
I just don't
Um,
I just
mm,
don't understand. Like it was actually good in that he's only a trainee, right? They're not like giving him a full-time job.
right.
It's low level. This is like as
Believable, sure.
realistic as this is realistic as you could get for this
Yeah.
scenario. Like they're not hiring him to be the vice president or something like
No.
it was
No.
you know, Air Bud or something. Like it was pretty like normal. It was
It was pretty
earned.
realistic. It wasn't, I
Yeah.
mean, as realistic as it can be given
Right.
the uh Sam tells a morose Wendy, we're back to these guys again who are lounging in the pool area. Um he's saying, Teddy really wants to talk to you. By the way, why don't you go make me a sandwich? Like that's kind of what he was doing before. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you're sad?
Also,
Unpack my clothes. Like, dude,
Sam Sam and Teddy really
this guy's
screw up Wendy's sweet deck setup where nobody's there.
yeah. This
Like,
guy.
we can do this tomorrow. There's no one out here at the pool.
Like, how about everyone just leave Wendy alone?
Yeah.
Good
Wendy's had a
lord,
bit of a
man.
day.
She's
Yeah.
been through enough.
Yeah.
She kind of tells him that, like, she's not interested. She's not interested. That's it. Here comes Teddy. He's arguing that he did give a hoot or did care about her, but wasn't in her life because he had nothing to offer her. Because he's a screw up and drinks too much and lies about everything.
Lies about
Uh,
everything.
Yeah, so be like,
Lies about everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
So like, what? I mean,
Eh?
what are you getting at?
I'm just saying, this guy lies about everything.
Right.
Everything.
Everything.
Right.
So this might not be Teddy.
I think it's very much Teddy. I don't think that's his daughter.
He just wanted something new on a Thursday, like
Exciting and new.
Well, I tell you, it didn't take him long to come to the conclusion.
There's no.
It's a crappy, grainy photo. Like, what do you?
Right. It's a Polaroid picture.
Right.
And they don't even go to the well on him having the same name as that guy, that was in the story. Teddy is doing all of this based on seeing Wendy and the one grainy picture of somebody who hooked up with 30 years ago.
Maybe he hates sea captains and he wants to ruin this woman's memory of her dad being this ship captain that went down. He's like, nope, I'm your real dad and I'm a real POS. Guess what? Let me just destroy your hopes and dreams for your hero dad.
They didn't do anything with like here's your mom's name, right? And Wendy's like, no, that's not my mom's name. Just like, so give me
and then
something.
He really goes for the open mouth kiss on her. Look, I have your name tattooed on my back. No, that's not you. Oh,
it's the 70s. Do the locket, please. Do the damn locket.
Like
it just makes it so much easier. It's
that's
like,
good.
Come
on. What does the locket say? Well, this one says BR and yours says ETT. Brett? Yeah, who's Brett? I just found it. I'm a piece of garbage and I lie a lot. Enjoy it.
Person in that photo that you rooted through my hotel room.
That's right. That's right. And I touched all of your belongings. Just so creepy. He starts to shuffle off and up. Oh yeah, of course she's gonna be like, no, don't go. Stop it. Rushes back over and they a fatherly hug or whatever you want to. It was just more than fatherly. Very strange. Very strange. As George disembarks solo, remember she's flying back to LA. He recaps talking about they've suffered every imaginable thing and they've been separated for 2 days.
George comes off pretty whiny and pretty angry.
Whiny.
The cruise did nothing to you. Everything that happened to them is on them.
She got on the wrong boat.
Back out. She didn't put suntan lotion on. He got poison ivy. She got on the wrong boat.
Here, if you have a bad back, generally you just don't get a bad back. Like you have a bad back and then it like becomes irritated by doing something. So know how much you can lift. I'm not saying anything bad about Kathy Bates, but like if you were like, come on.
Lift
you weren't even on the boat like a day you do that. Like, you know what?
I just didn't appreciate that he was kind of being crappy to Julie.
Yeah.
For stuff that the boat had
got on the wrong boat.
Zero control over.
You went and picked wild flowers and got poison ivy, dummy. Yeah. Like, what do you want from me?
Yeah.
All these things that
This is why the minister was late.
Well, be mad at the sun, be mad at the poison ivy, be mad at your wife for losing her ability to read and getting on the wrong boat. And come on. And if you have a bad back, think about it. So funny.
Julie has to listen to this idiot complain, and then Kathy Bates shows up. Julie is, talking to the Allisons on the deck in her white jacket with a blue shirt. That's all.
White jacket, blue shirt. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Then we head back inside, because we're wrapping up the Goodmans at the desk again,
Mhm.
where they're like, oh, all's well that ends well and all that stuff. And what's Julie wearing as everybody's leaving?
No.
Blue jacket, red shirt. We had 2 continuity errors in the same episode after having one last week.
Well, they were bookended too, beginning and the end. Well, let
What are
me
we doing
ask
here?
you, was it the same story with the same because now I'm wondering how
Yeah.
it's shot.
Yes, it was. Well, okay. The Goodmans had blue jacket, red shirt.
Okay.
The white jacket, blue shirt, the first part was Teddy's storyline in the beginning, and then the wedding people were at the end. Inexcusable. We're sitting here watching 250 of these damn things.
What are we doing? What are we
The
doing?
least you can do is put one of Julie's outfits on and have a board. You have 3 storylines. It's not that complicated. You know what, Julie? Every time you greet people at the beginning, you wear a white jacket.
Wear your
Every time you
uniform.
let people off, you wear a blue one, and we're good.
It's a 40-minute show. It's a 40-minute show. How hard is it? Wear the same thing for 40 minutes.
I am outraged. I'm at the point where if I see it next week, I'm done.
We're wrapping up the Love Boat project at episode 14. We're done. That'd be a fun thumbnail.
It's like at least last week.
It's just so lazy.
Last week was sloppy, but it was like that whole scene that it happened in was such a weird acting scene. That almost felt like it like something happened or something like that.
Right,
this is just ridiculous.
Yeah,
doesn't bode well for future episodes of continuity if this is what we're doing in the first season.
No. Or maybe this is because it is the first season. Maybe. We iron these type of things out.
Well, let's hope so.
I hope so. Bill and Doreen bid the Loudons and Greg Beatty,
Larry Tate.
Larry Tate. They say goodbye for now, and they express, how happy they are about working together in the future. They say goodbye to the crew. They're relieved, and everything worked out. Captain wanders over and informs his crew he just got a call from Martin Stockwood. You knew it was happening. And he says, shakes his head and says, these Madison Avenue types will go to any lengths to land an account.
It's a real jungle out there.
It's a real jungle out there, and ambles off. Still seemingly clueless.
Yeah, he never really got it. So then right, Steubing leaves. Doc does another kind of ham job bit, and everybody kind of laughs, and Doc laughs for a while, right? So the first time I watched this, I turned it off. That was it. I assumed that was the end. I don't know why I didn't wait for the credits or anything.
I didn't wait for the credits either.
Such a obviously show over.
It was the end. Yeah, I didn't wait. Why?
And then it wasn't the end. Oh, you didn't see Act 5?
Same thing happened to me. Same thing happened to me. I thought it was over because there was a lull. It ended.
Okay. There is an Act 5 after that. So that's weird. So Act 5.
Well, the way it was cut, it looked like it was over. And
it felt like it was over, 100%. Yeah. So Act 5 is Teddy and Wendy and Sam. They come down the steps, and he's doing a whole bunch of like, the best part about being your father is, what's the crazy thing about being your father? And Robert Hayes is calling him dad already. And then Robert Hayes is like, all right, Dad, I'll see you in a couple of weeks. And he leaves. And then Wendy's like, Dad, And it's like one of those. And this is where
the smooching went down.
A lot of smooching went down.
I gotta go back then. I gotta go back.
Yeah. It was, I mean, he's not it's not overt, but it's not how you kiss your daughter.
A little much for a father-daughter, especially for a father who hasn't seen her in 26 years.
Yeah, it was a little bit. But then at the end, Steubing's like, well, you certainly have gotten your act together. I've never seen you so focused and there. Blah, blah. And then he's just like going to town. And then Ginger shows up.
He probably didn't want that life anymore, right?
No, he did. He went right for it.
He did. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
What's the lesson here? Is Crane's going to crane? That's
Yeah.
just the way it's going to be.
So that is so weird that we both missed it the first time.
Well, because when you were talking about the smooch and stuff, I was like,
I'm not crazy. I don't have like a second. I don't have like a
because I was like,
fanfic.
I
I
knew we
don't
were
have
going
a
to go over it,
Teddy
but I was
Anderson
like,
fanfic.
yeah, did he write a prequel? Is it what's
Yeah.
going on here? Yeah. Okay, I'll go
Yeah.
back. No, because it had the pause, it had the end, it had the little thing like,
Yeah.
okay. I knew there was more time, but I'm like, it's not
Nope.
like there's a post-credit scene.
The
It's just
only
got this weird
reason
gap.
I realized it is because I didn't hit pause and I was writing my notes, and all of a sudden here
It
comes Act
popped
5.
up.
Because my actual thought was, that's weird they didn't go back to the Teddy storyline at the end, but they did.
Oh
So
man.
don't go back and watch it because, well, if you want to see Father Smooch's daughter,
I'm good. I'll take it. Yeah, I'm good with your
yeah.
description.
But it was weird, a weird end regardless.
Fair enough. I interesting episode.
Yeah, let's get into it. So totals and a
Yeah.
recap. It's not the best episode. I mean,
No,
I don't
it's not
think
the best.
anything was particularly good, but I don't think anything was particularly bad. And the last few weeks, we have had at least one storyline that was garbage
Just garbage.
for a while. And so I think this is like a single, just a nice single to right field. Just solid. It was a
Well,
solid episode.
I also think it hits those 3 marks, right? I got the
Oh,
we
the
got the
rating scale.
hijinks. Right, we got hijinks, right?
A lot of
Like
hijinks.
we got wah wah, a few
Now,
of them.
can we expand on what wah wah is?
Like, wah
Is
wah.
it like
It's kind of like
comeuppance, like, oh, sad sack, or
the sunburn, and the camera pans, wah wah, just this
so that's
a
not
cheesy.
hijinks.
That's different. Hijinks is like I'm gonna act like I'm somebody else.
Gotcha.
Like there's a plan.
Gotcha.
So for me, it's hijinks, wah wah, and emotional strings. I got all 3 in this episode, right? So I think we're on brand. This is a good formula, but I do agree, not the best episode.
I think my formula at this point is going to be storyline. 3 for 3 gets you in the conversation, obviously, and we haven't had that. But again, there was not anything that was just the equivalent of the dog.
No, it wasn't that blatant.
Or the stupid Florence Henderson inner monologue, or like we've had
squeezing a song in there, or
we've had several weeks in a row, even last week with the Julie and the preacher. Like we've had several weeks in a row where there's just been a real drag of a storyline. So it's good to at least have nothing that was just like hot garbage. Like I don't have notes in here that's just like or something like that.
Yeah,
So.
no, and honestly, the things that I took issue with are the things that I would always take issue with. Like these aren't new things that I'm irritated about. It's just normal.
Yeah.
It's par for the course.
And really probably as even-handed and consistent a character of the regular crew too. Nobody went really out of bounds. They gave Isaac nothing, like just weirdly nothing this week.
It is weird. You'd think like each story would maybe have something to do with a different crew member. Like Julie is she's in everybody's business.
Yeah, and then Steubing is getting more involved in the show. But it is weird. Isaac and Gopher really kind of trade off, but they're both getting like 15-20% tops. And for only having 5, and in a week like this where you have a guy like Bob Crane who just, on the show basically.
He stole the show. Like the light shines brighter on that guy. He was just
Is there anybody else for Captain of the Week? I mean, to me, it wasn't even. I didn't even write down a second.
Not even close.
Like, he was.
He was amazing. And then we'll see. We'll see if he wins a love boaty at the end of the year.
I'll be interested. Like I was trying to kind of run through my head, and we've kind of talked about like we had Diana Carroll and we had Charo, but they also got to sing and stuff like that. Like this is just straight up acting. And if we break it down by male and female, that'll really be. I can't even think of anybody who's been close. John Ritter probably.
I mean, you're gonna have best song, best original song. I mean, you got all these things.
We're really gonna have to get working on this. Stay tuned for the love boaties at the end of season 1 here.
Huge.
Oh, we should call them the Stubbies.
Perfect. The Stubbies. Why?
Yeah, write that down. Yeah,
There
write
you
that
go.
down.
Stubbies. I'm on
This was actually hard this week. What did you have for Walk the Plank?
it. Robert Hayes. He didn't even need to be there. He was just a hand that delivered the picture on the it was a nothing.
Yeah.
You could have had interactions with Vince that would, oh, can you take my picture, crew member? And Vince takes the picture. Like everything could have been handled by Vince.
Oh, by
Robert
the
Hayes.
way,
Yeah.
Vince, did you see the scene where Gopher like runs down the steps and then jumps over the railing?
Yeah.
What an insult to Vince.
I was looking
Gopher,
at
you're able to like jump off of these stairs and you made me go upstairs for that? Now I'm in a chair, probably.
that was a decent jump.
That was pretty good. I
remember
went back
looking,
and
I'm
watched
going,
it again.
oh, you know that's going to hurt the bottom of your feet when you land, sir.
Oh, yeah.
Especially
Fred
in
Grandy's not doing that now.
white. Well, not many of them are.
I went with what was his name? The groom.
Oh,
I didn't like him, and I really didn't like the way he was
Bert
kind of
Allison.
being a jerk at the end.
he was.
I don't know. And I feel like that felt like a cruise that he booked.
Yeah.
That's why he was so upset. Kathy Bates was pretty go with the flow. He was just always mad. And I assume he was mad because he wasn't getting some, but that was also his fault. So
But
I just didn't like
also-
him yelling at Julie at the end about it.
No, I agree. You don't do that. And the whole like, the Reverend was late thing, and it's maybe
Yeah.
4:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Like, would you guys get married in Ohio? Did you guys drive all night? Like, well, it doesn't make any sense.
Can you imagine driving all night in that getup?
Ugh.
Hmm.
They're
Anyway,
stopping every
that's
2
total-
minutes to make whoopee. It's just ridiculous.
I actually had to think about it this week though, and that's the last few weeks. It's been like I had to think about the 15 options we had for worst. So
I know.
That's-
It's not easy. Sometimes there's a
that was
glaring.
good. It's a good problem to have.
It is a
So-
good problem to have.
That's totals and a recap for this week.
All right. Plugs. Got some great stuff out there on Instagram, Love Boat Project on Instagram, Love Boat Project on Twitter, Love Boat Project at Gmail, and find us on YouTube every other Monday with a brand new episode, Love Boat Project on YouTube. Also, next time, episode 14, a little tease for you.
Ooh,
It's an Isaac heavy episode.
there you go.
And we also welcome aboard a kleptomaniac chimpanzee named Louise. I'm not kidding. Until next
Oh.
time.
No, now I'm mad. There's no portal.